Listen to me, motherfucker. I'm talking. I say horrible things sometimes because I think they're funny. My podcast is a verbal mosh pit because it's just me pinwheeling around. You don't know where the fuck I'm going to wind up, and I generally have no idea when it's going to end or start. I'm responsible for this whole goddamn thing. I want a little respect from you people. Hey, what's happening? Mike Schmidt, 40-year-old boy podcast, folks. It's been determined if I'm going to eat myself to death, it's going to be with Loco Moco from Hawaii. I've talked about Loco Moco on here before, I think, folks. If I haven't, if you don't know what it is, folks, listen to this. Listen to this stack of deliciousness that a fat guy would salivate over and a Samoan would kill his mother for. It is a pile of white rice, perfectly done. I mean, please don't have it sticking together. I don't want any sushi rice with vinegar. I don't want any clumps. I want a loose grain but well-done rice. And you're going to cover that with brown gravy, and they're going to put a hamburger patty on top of that, and you're thinking to yourself, Jesus, that's a meal in a fucking pyramid. Yes, it is, but there's only one thing that makes that better, folks, other than the fork to eat it with. Fuck, I don't even need a fork. I plow it face down. I eat it like a goddamn pie eating contest. I go Loco Moco gravy face. That's what I do. Which, by the way, was my wrestling name as a child. I was Loco Moco gravy face. It was between that and the what was I supposed to be? The Gravedigger. That was what I was going to be. It was actually my wrestling name. I've talked about that on here, folks. If you're new, seriously, go listen to old shows. Go find year 1 and year 2 somewhere. I'm sure somebody BitTorrented the shit out of them, or you could buy them. That would be great. But yeah, so Loco Moco, there's one last ingredient right in the top, a fried egg. Holy shit. Are you kidding me? That's right. Gravy, hamburger, fried egg, fucking rice. And you can get it with Spam too if you want, but that's only if you want to die right in your chair. That's the choice you have. And speaking of the fact, look, it's a running joke, folks. I say literally a million times. Okay? I literally say it a million times. I've used it so much that the word has no meaning. Certainly it doesn't have a literal meaning any longer. But then, last week, I see a thing online. First of all, they're busting Biden's balls because he says literally all the time. He said he was talking about a free press is literally the veins and capillaries of a society. I don't know, some quote where it literally was not, it didn't even belong in the fucking paragraph, not even the same neighborhood, the same room, the same mouth as that sentence, but he spit it out, and so everybody's like, oh, he doesn't even know what literally means. And I wanted to go, dude, I'm with you, Biden. Why did that guy become a fucking goof all of a sudden? You know what? Vice president is a trap. It is the fucking trap door of politics, because the second you're the vice president, you're just a fuck up. That's all they do is make fun of you for what you do, and you're the number 2 guy in the fucking country. Why does that happen? It doesn't. And look, there are your Dan Quayles who've ruined it for everybody. I understand that. There are your Al Gores who people looked at as a bumbling fool occasionally, but these are smart, fucking accomplished people, and then they become the number 2 man, and everybody looks at them like they're a goddamn propeller hat wearing asshole. That's not the case. But it's because, you know what the thing is? When a liberal gets in office, all right, or a Democrat, I should say, well, then all the people who make fun of the president usually don't want to make fun of Obama because he's their guy, so then they just channel it all into Biden and make him the fucking lug. And look, yeah, Biden, come on, it's pretty easy. He's sitting at a lunch counter, he's riding a train to work. I get all that. But Jesus Christ, I don't understand how you all of a sudden can be like a respected senator and then you become the vice president and you're an asshole to everybody on the planet. It's crazy. He's literally an asshole to everybody on the planet, see? So that happened. So everybody like busts his balls because he said literally, and they make him a fucking jamoke. But then there was a why are you making a face? Yeah, because it's a perfect word for what they're making him. They're making him out to be just a fucking asshat. You know what I mean? And it's like he did that thing where he leaned over during the healthcare thing and he goes, "This is fucking big," or whatever he said, and everybody's like, "Oh my God, profanity!" And oh, shut the fuck up. He's a two-fisted idiot from Delaware. All right, look at me. Now I pigeonhole the guy. This is the number 2 man in the country. Does this happen everywhere? Honestly, does every company, when they have, like, there's the CEO and then guy in charge of nothing, as the second guy? It's like there was the movie Dave, and Ben Kingsley was the vice president, and he just kept getting shepherded off to do fucking funerals of diplomats, and he came home with like a African mask and a spear. You can't send Biden to those fucking things because he stabs the corpse with the spear and puts the mask on it. See, here's what I'm doing. I'm making Biden the asshole myself. Oh, you know what? You can't help yourself. You just have to do it. Whoever the vice president is, takes it in the ass. Which, that's a story. And not literally. By the way, let me take that out of there. But then last week, Google CEO Eric Schmidt Someone put together a clip of him, and it said, and this is what honestly, it was at Gawker TV, and it said, Google CEO Eric Schmidt literally likes saying literally. Like, and someone put a clip together of like 90 seconds of speeches of his, and he says literally 100 times in these speeches. So I almost put it on my Facebook wall and just went, haha, maybe it's a Schmidt thing. Maybe that's what happens. Every Schmidt has to say literally. That's the thing. Literally every Schmidt has to say literally at every turn. I don't know, folks. Hi, how are you? I'm good. I'm excited. It is a fun time. I will tell you this freaky occurrence that just happened to me yesterday, folks. I think it's no surprise to any of you that I have about 11 credit cards. And they're at the point now where if I use them, an alarm goes off or smoke comes off of them. I mean, it's bad. But I have, all right, here, you know what, credit card companies, why don't you go ahead and line up, and I'm going to fucking teabag all of you assholes. Here's why. Because you know what, I'm paying my bills. I will tell you this, I have 11 credit cards, I got a car payment, I got rent, I got what you guys have, all right? I'm you. All right, you know what I am? I'm just a fucking two-fisted, sleeves rolled up, lunch counter guy from Delaware who takes the truck into work and pays his fucking bills. That's me. I'm a lug. So I'm the Joe Biden of podcasts. That's who I am. Except I am nowhere near the number 2 slot. I am nowhere near number 2. I might be 200. In the comedy podcast list, I am number 200. You know what? Fuck numbers, man. I am sorry. I am so over numbers because it's like everybody comes out with a goddamn podcast, and then I go further down the list because these are more well-known people, so they get bumped in, and also they might do better, funnier shows. I don't want to say that. I don't want to pigeonhole. Look, just because you know their name, shake my fist at the fucking microphone. No, they might be fucking better shows than mine. That's fine. I can accept that. But then I just fall further and further down the fucking iTunes list, and now I found out there's a number on Twitter. Like if you go to with Twitter apps, I have Twitterific. And Twitter and TweetDeck. I don't know. My phone is full of Twitter. And if you go, it will tell you, like if you push on your avatar and it shows your page, it tells you where you rank in the followers or how many tweets you've done. Like it gives you these rankings, and I'm like, oh, dude. I mean, look, when you get to 1 million, stop counting, because you're just being counterproductive to people now at this point. Because if you're a celebrity or whatever and you're like 8, you're like, yay, this is awesome. But if you're just some kid in fucking Wisconsin who's got 40 followers and follows 300 people, and you look and you're like 17 billionth on the Twitter list, talk about being fucking insignificant. And you might say to yourself, Mike, there's not 17 billion people in the world. How the fuck could you be that low on the list? Certainly not that many on Twitter. I will argue this way. Yes, there are that many on Twitter. I will tell you this. Even if there were only 9 people on Twitter, there would still be 17 billion because everybody buys fake Twitter names and like posts these things because they think they're cute and funny and they're hysterical. I found, all right, I'm going to say this. It's going to get me in trouble, folks, and I don't care. Yes, I do care, but I'm going to do it anyway. There's a thing called Witstream. Okay. And Witstream takes comedians, like all your favorite comedians, and you can subscribe to Witstream, and it brings you the best tweets of all the funniest people in the world out of the 17 billions. And so it's a portal for funny, folks. It is a huge, it is just a big, huge asshole that shits funny all over you when you're on Twitter. So I went and checked it out, and inevitably you wind up going, that's not funny, even though. But I mean, that's just me. I shit on everything. I mean, I'm an idiot. I don't think this is funny. I've talked now for like 18 minutes. I'm like, Jesus, when am I going to get to the funny part? But I love the fact that there is these guys have declared themselves the arbiters of what's funny on Twitter, and we're going to bring you the best of the best. It's like that's not what. Again, Twitter's about shitting each other's mouths. It's not about fucking bringing me the best of the best, the creme de la creme, the fucking celebrities. Oh, forget it. All right. But then I bitch because there's Twitter and podcasts, and I'm like, I want recognition. I want people to know me. But then I advocate for I champion the underdog. I want them. But I am the underdog. That's why I champion the fucking underdog. What was I talking about?
This happened to you.
Freaky. Something freaky. Here's what happened, folks. Credit card companies, you dicks. I will pay my bills. I'm ahead of my bills, all right? I am not behind on anything. I will tell you that again. The water's about at my fucking nose. All right, but I'm treading fucking water and making every payment, everything's squared away. If I was in trouble, I would tell you because I'm honest. But I am current on everything and have been. I've never fallen behind. It takes a lot of fast dancing sometimes, but I make it. I'm never no late payments, no late fees, whatever. There you go. I'm that guy. But because I have 11 credit cards and all of them are, the pool is full. When I make a payment, I pay, over. I always pay over the minimum because I'm trying to get breathing room, okay? Because I want to know that there's, I'll have a card with a little room on it just in case there's an emergency. All right, my parents are getting older. Who knows who's going to die? So I always try to keep it so I can get an emergency plane ticket, or if Karen has to go home, I always try to keep enough room to do that. But now, my fucking credit cards, because all right, they've changed the laws. Okay. First of all, they made bankruptcy harder for people, which is good. I don't care. That's fine. Do that. I don't plan on doing bankruptcy. I'm not worried about it. That's fine. But they fucked credit card companies, so they can't do that thing where if you miss a payment by 15 minutes, they jack you a fucking, your rate goes up to 40%, and they make you pay, double time and all those fucking rules that credit cards used to do. That special, literally your credit card. It was the room in Mission Impossible where Tom Cruise came down from the ceiling and couldn't touch anything. That's what your credit card is. And if a bead of sweat flicks off your nose and falls on the R on the keyboard, boom, 40% rate, everything's fucked, the alarms go off. That's what your credit card is. It's a pristine room where you can't fucking touch anything, but if you do, you're fucked. All right. So I always stay ahead of the curve because I don't want to be that guy who gets caught in the loop of jacked up rates. And now they changed the law so you can't. But here's what they do now to me, these assholes. I pay my credit card bill. I'll send one bill like $280, minimum payment's $200, whatever. I always pay over, so I'm making breathing room, and then I'll get a letter in the mail. We have cut your maximum from 8,000 to 7,000, and 800. Like, they always go to like $10. So I only have $10 credit on those cards. Like, they never let me get any breathing room. They're chasing me. All right, we're chasing our tails all the way around. I'm paying to try to. I've never fallen behind, but they still jack it down because they want me to miss. So then I go over and they can bury me with fees because I missed the fucking thing and I went over my limit because you spend from the cards. Oh, fuck. So bottom line, fuck you, credit card companies. That's what I wanted to say. But it's this a never-ending chase where, I have a card that has like an $11,000 limit. Okay. Well, then I'm right up in the neighborhood there, and but then I'll pay, and so I have like $600 worth of room on that card, and then I'll get a letter. They cut it by 500, just to get it down to 100. So they're chasing me as I make payments. This means nothing to any of you, but the bottom line is fuck credit cards. All right, that's what I got to say. So here's a freaky one. I have a Target credit card, but not the Target department store, but a Target Visa. Okay. It was a Target department store. That's how it started out, with a $200 limit. It was the first credit card I ever had in my life. I got it when I thought I was getting divorced. Honestly, when Karen and I split up and I had to move into my buddy's fucking attic, I immediately applied for it because I knew I would need to buy cleaning products at some point. And sure enough, I got it. I couldn't believe I got it. I was like, oh my God, that's cool. And it was only $200. So I would go, once a month to Target and run it up and then pay it. I was very vigilant about it. So then as time progressed, then I got back together with Karen, and then I started to get jobs where I actually made money. They kept increasing my credit limit, and then they sent me a note, and they're like, hey, would you be interested in a Target Visa instead of a Target, credit card because it's got all these different advantages? And I said, sure, that's fine. And again, keep in mind, I will tell you, my Target credit card, the limit had gone up from $200 to $500. So I was amazed. I was like, this is awesome. I'm doing well, and I'm going up $300. That's great. I never envisioned anything more than that. And sure enough, I get, like 3 weeks later, I get a Target Visa in the mail. $11,000 was the limit. Wow. It went from 500 to 11 grand. And I'm staring at it, just like, oh, no, dude, you got to be kidding me. And I thought I'm missing a decimal point. I'm like, I thought, they cut it from 500 to 100, $100, and they somehow put a comma instead of a decimal. I didn't know what the fuck was going on. And so I called them to verify. I'm like, it's 11,000. You're like, yeah, absolutely. You've been a good customer. And I'm like, great. So I think I laminated it and put it away because I was like, I'm never using this. I can't. It was too much of a temptation. But then I also got another credit card that had a $10,000 limit, and I started to get more cards. And what I would do is I would use them, but because I was making so much money writing for shows, I would pay them when I got my paycheck. So essentially, it was just a way to kite money. You know what I mean? It was like, you okay? You're so bored. She's like twisting her hair around like she's flirting with somebody, and her glasses fell off of her head. You had to say it. That's our friend Lily Von Stubb. She's here. This is a tale of credit for no reason. How good does this sound in your tweakedaudio.com/40 earbuds, folks? The tale of my credit adventures. Jesus Christ, awful. By the way, my credit right at a point now where I don't even think tweakedaudio.com/40 would sell me earbuds. I think they would. You're not a good risk. You cannot buy any of our 400 colors. You can't buy any of our durable products. All right. So I get all these. So then I lose my gigs, and I'm like, oh man, this is a drag. I can't believe I lost my jobs, but that's okay. I'm sure I'll be right back on the horse because the whole rumor is once you let me debunk some rumors for you. Here's one rumor that was debunked when I got out here. We were told that if you got a national commercial, that made your year. Okay, if you just got one national commercial, that was great because you were going to make money all year, and then you just kind of sit back and try to get other jobs. But the good news is you had money coming all year from your national commercial. Yeah, that doesn't happen unless you're the company who put on that national commercial. As an actor, I can tell you that it goes in 13-week cycles, and that might happen like for 2 or 3 cycles, and then eventually it starts falling off, and you're getting these. When it first starts out, you're just getting money, and you're like, this is great. But by the 3rd cycle, you're actually paying attention to it, and you're like, oh my God, they stopped showing it in Denver. Why did they stop showing it in Denver? Because they tell you cities where it plays and all these different, like this real minutia, and you start to pay attention to it because you're like, holy shit, I don't have any money, and I thought I was supposed to be a guy. Because I did a National Coors commercial. I'm like, dude, this is going to be awesome. But it only ran like 2 months, and then they stopped running it. I'm like, oh, no. That means I got to get another commercial. That makes no sense. My year was set. So that's one myth debunked. Here's another myth. Once you get a writing job, you will work writing jobs forever because you're in the loop. You're in the loop, folks. Here's me snapping fingers and saying in the loop, because that means you know a guy here, and then he goes to another gig and he recommends you, and then they go somewhere else and they recommend you, and you're constantly getting hired and everything's great, and then you're in the union, and then you have kids and a house. Well, here's me debunking that myth. But I will tell you this. There is a caveat. That might have something to do with me. Maybe they're recommending other people because they didn't like working with me. I have no idea if that was the case. I don't think that was the point. It seemed like everybody got along with me very well at the jobs that I worked, and everything seemed to be fine. Here, I will tell you this. All right, when I worked on the Funniest Pets and People show, when I worked on all right, I'm not debunking myths. Let me reinforce a myth. If people do like you, they will recommend you for jobs. Because when I got my job on Funny Money, those people did Starface, and they immediately called me to see if I wanted to work. So, that was great. But when I started working on Funniest Pets and People, which was a clip show, I'm like, oh, well, dude, this is great. I can write clips in my sleep. I'll be working at fucking Funniest Videos. I'll go here and go there. There's tons of clip shows. Well, the problem was the production company that I worked for only produced one show, and they didn't fucking need me to come in and start working on other things. They like me. Everybody likes me. Look, you folks like me, right? I don't know how I got off on this fucking tangent. I don't know why. Let me just go ahead and get back to this. Here's the freaky thing that happened. Okay. That Target card that I've mentioned, I had to renew it because it was expiring. So they sent me a new one, and they're like, hey, do you want a PIN number when you renew it? And I go, yeah, I'll take a PIN. You have to tell them on the phone when you're activating it. They say, do you want a PIN number? And I said, yeah. So you punch a button, and the thing is they don't let you set your own PIN number, okay? They say, we will send you a PIN number. If you want to change it when it comes, you can call back and do that. But right now, we issue you a PIN number, and that's your PIN number that you can deal with. So I said, all right. So a week later, I get my PIN number in the mail for the Target card. I open it up. Yes, folks, brace yourselves. Have a seat. Look around. There might be a ghost in the room. The PIN number assigned me for my Target card is the PIN number I've used for my bank account for the past 15 years. That's not freaky? I think that's freaky. I mean, dude, literally, it's the only other PIN number I have, and it's the exact same number as the one I've used at my bank forever? Okay, good. It is creepy. Because you laughed at me like it was not creepy. Out of the fucking blue, they assigned me this. I mean, how many number combinations are there out of the 4 numbers? And they assigned me the exact same number combination I've used forever. Don't know why I brought it up, folks. I guess it doesn't hit nearly as hard as it did when I opened up the envelope. And I actually got a wave of almost like deja vu and nausea at the same time. Like someone had found me out and played a joke on me. I was looking around, and no, man, it was the exact same. It was the exact same number. Nobody cares. Oh, Jesus. But it's a happy day, folks. We're all happy, right? Come on, we're happy. I was happy. I was happy in the car on the way over. Here's how happy I was, folks. They played Mambo No. 5. I didn't turn it off. That's how happy I was. Normally, I would just go, "What the fuck?" and like immediately turn it. I said, "I'm in the mood to hear some garbage. Let's go. Let's let this play." You remember Rumble Number Five, which was a huge hit for Montel Williams. It was a monstrous song. It was Lou Bega. Yeah, that's who it was, Lou Bega. But he looked exactly like Montel Williams. But I in the car it started to play, and sometimes you just go, you're like, yeah, okay, I'll bop along with this. This is fine. Even though I had CDs that I could listen to, or I have many other. I have satellite radio, folks. I have satellite radio. I could have listened to any other song on the planet. Literally, that's what I had. The choice of any other song ever recorded on the planet, and I sat through Mambo Number Five. That might explain why I'm so talkative now, folks. It's a new day. I got a new pad. Normally, because I keep notes, folks. I won't lie to you. I'll jot stuff down, and I have a new. So I needed a new pad because I bought a pad for year 3. When year 3 started, it was a pad, and it had 70 sheets. I'm like 52 weeks, 70 sheets. Leave some room for skedoodling, whatever the fuck I want to do in those other 18. Good, done. But unfortunately, I ran out already. We're at episode 46, and I've run out of sheets. Yeah. Oh, sure. Don't mock. And so I had to buy a new pad. But it's funny, when I buy a pad, it's a sketch pad because I don't like lines on my paper. Yes, I'm a weird person. I don't like notebook paper because it makes me think I'm 11. I mean, I'm not a child. I use pens and I use paper, and I don't need fucking lines to tell me where I need to stay into. If I want to write fucking, if I want to draw an EKG, I will. Fuck you, lines. So I buy a sketch pad, which is funny because I brought it on stage with me when I did that show a couple weeks ago in the alley. And I went up on stage and I'm holding it, and I guess I was clutching it to my breast because there's nowhere to put it. There was no stool. And I finished, and Rye made a joke about me. He's like, he goes, I just love the fact you're up here with a sketch pad. Like I was just trying to figure out what you had drawn inside the pad. And I'm not gonna lie to you, folks. I do draw. I have sketches of it's all sketches of Kate Winslet with different necklaces. That's what I have inside my sketch pad. That's it, constantly. Actually, I go the other way. It's all different women with that necklace from Titanic. I got Lily, I got Karen, I got Sandra D. Sanchez, I got her in there too. I got them all, absolutely. And I just draw them constantly with necklaces.
Yeah.
I am dumb. All right. But now we got a new pad today, folks, so we got to shape up. So dumb. I went out last night to try to do stand-up. But not to try to do stand-up. There was a bar, and they do stand-up. And I got a call from the king of TV, Paul Goebel, wondering if I wanted to accompany him to said bar to scout it out. I was like, yeah, because he asked a month ago, and I couldn't go, but I went last night. I should tell you this. I'm doing Paul Goebel's podcast this week. I'm recording it Sunday. I don't know when it'll be up, but I'll plug it later, and I'll probably plug it next week too. But Paul gave me homework for his fucking podcast. He's like,
Nice.
he wrote me a note. He's like, hey, do me a favor, try to watch Traffic Light and Mr. Sunshine, because we're going to talk about him on the show. Listen, folks, all right. I recognize your show is about television, and you want to talk about it and stuff, but you and Jim and whoever else is in the room, you can talk about that while I crack wise in the background, right? Can't you? Because I don't. I'm the guest. Aren't you supposed to make the guest feel at home? Well, you should have written me and said, "Hey, what do you watch? What can we talk about? What can we watch this week to make you feel comfortable so we can discuss it?" You're watching TV anyway. What the fuck do you care? I mean, stop watching these shitty sitcoms, these one-off shows that are going to last literally 3 episodes. Why do you need to watch Traffic Light on Fox when you know it is never going to last? Ever. It will never be. I guarantee you there will not be 5 episodes of Traffic Light. I guarantee it. But now I have to not only watch it, but discuss it for all eternity on a medium that it'll be saved for all eternity on the internet. Me discussing Traffic Light. What the fuck? You got to be kidding me. Why not ask me what I like to watch? Why not ask me what I want to see, and then we can discuss that? Because it would be boring to talk about cooking shows for an hour and a half, perhaps? Maybe? Because that's all I watch. I watch cooking shows. Well, I watch like 4 other shows, but I watch cooking shows. I watch Chopped. I want a cooking show. I demand a cooking show. If only so I can just make shit and without consequence and have to clean up. Like I want to cook food and then have a dude come in and clean everything. Awesome. I just need a butler. I don't need a cooking show. It's probably easier to get a butler. But I want a cooking show, and I'll just make. It was funny when we were working at Load. We were writing sketches. I had a sketch called The Bachelor Cooking Show, and in it, Steve Seagren was the Bachelor chef. And one week he prepared ice. And I wrote it like a straight parody of cooking shows where he was like, he goes, we need a sink with 2 faucets, preferable to use the cold faucet, although a hot faucet will be fine. Like the whole, I wrote it very meticulously, and then Steve Seagren did it and giggled his way through it and got every line wrong. Good for you, Steve. All right, so I love Steve. He's hilarious. But Jesus Christ, Pat Francis and I wanted to murder him when he was doing sketches for us. Steve Seagren's a comedian from Chicago, and you might have seen him. He's been in a million shows out here. All right, he's one of those guys who just has a look, and he's really funny and really cool. But when he did our show, this is when internet comedy was just a goof. And also, he's dealing with guys who'd featured for him for the past 3 years. So Steve was a nice guy, but I think he didn't take it very seriously. And I realized that the second he started talking when the camera rolled, because he didn't know his lines, and he like giggled his way through them, and he didn't know anything. He just basically acted like it was a fucking lark. And I wanted to go, dude, I'm paying you. What the fuck is your problem? But I didn't. Instead I internalized it, and then Pat and I would just stare at each other and just be like, really? If you have to do more than 10 takes for a fucking internet sketch that lasts 30 seconds, we have a problem, a real problem. But I want a cooking show, man. Just fucking and I want, you know what? I want a cooking show, and I will name it something stupid, like, and never acknowledge it. Like, I want to call it like Cooking with the Critellis, like, and then I won't make Italian food, and I will never acknowledge what it means. I will just be like, hi, welcome to Cooking with the Critellis. I'm Mike Schmidt. So today we're gonna make biscuits. And like people will be like, who the fuck are the Critellis? Why the fuck? Why aren't you making Italian food? I don't care. I do, because you know why? Because I make my own fucking rules. That's right. It's my own goddamn cooking show. If I want to have a cooking show, if I sit down and pour a bowl of fucking cereal, you'll sit there and pay attention because I'm fucking funny. That's right. I should just make a cooking podcast. That's what I need to do. Literally, all it will be, you'll hear the burners turn on, and you just hear boiling water. I'll just hold a microphone to all the cooking aspects. You'll hear sizzling in a frying pan. This is the plan. This is what I'm going to do. And you know what? That show will actually be ahead of this show on the goddamn fucking top 200. I'll bump down one more slot in the goddamn iTunes list. It'll just fucking put me gone. Cooking with the Critellis ahead of fucking 40-year-old boy. God damn it. I've outsmarted myself once again, folks. I could not believe my PIN number of 7100 was the same. Oh, hold on. I shouldn't have given that out. Haha, good luck to you. Now the game is afoot. Now you've got to steal my debit card or my Target card, and then you're good. See, that's why I do it. I put my PIN out there, daring people to steal my cards. Take that.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't fuck around. What am I going to do? Because, again, nobody's going to get their hands on those cards. And believe me, nobody's going to remember at this point because Karen can't even remember. I'll give her my card and go, here's the PIN. And you would think you would remember. I remember my wife's PINs, but every time we do it, I have to write it down. I'm like, here, take this. And then that's not good because then it's PIN number 7100. And she's like, oh, okay, great. Oh, terrible. All right. Went to go look at comedy last night, folks. Went to a bar, Paul Goebel and I. Went to a comedy show that I hope to do. I hope to eventually contact the guy who runs the club. But it was great. It was in a bar in Koreatown. I will not say the name of the bar until I'm booked there. But we went to Koreatown, and the whole place smells like noodles. I mean, like the entire fucking. I've never been to this part of Koreatown. You might as well just take town right off. It looked like I drove into goddamn Korea. I mean, it was just, a bunch of guys in, one unitard jumpsuits like Kim Jong-il walking around. I mean, it was that kind of Koreatown. And we walk into this bar, and it's dark, and it's got a bee, and they have a microphone, and again, it just drove home why I haven't done stand-up in so long, because it's these types of venues with these types of people. Like, I didn't recognize any of the comics. I don't know anybody. And they don't know me, too. That's the worst part, because now I got to try to ask for a set, and they don't know who the fuck I am, so I got to prove to them that I'm funny. So I have to tell it, I have to somehow show a 25-year-old kid that I'm worthy of going up in his bar. And the crowd was just, I mean, hipster doesn't even do it justice. I mean, can you say mega hipster? I mean, does that work? Like, if there was an evil Dr. Hipster Frankenstein and he wanted to construct hipsters in his lab, headquarters would be this fucking bar in Koreatown. We get to the door and the guy goes, "What's the password?" And I'm like, seriously? And he goes, and not hoping that seriously was the password. Like, I was just astonished that there was a speakeasy aspect to this bar on the corner in Los Angeles. And he goes, "Yeah." He goes, "There's a password tonight." And I go, okay. And he goes, are you here for a comedy? And I go, yeah, we're here for the comedy show. He goes, are you in it? I go, no. And Goebel's just like, yeah, we're here to see it. And then Goebel gets his phone out because I guess the password was on the Facebook page. And the guy goes, just let me see your IDs. So he carded me and Paul, which made me laugh because he carded me and Paul. We walked in. Paul and I easily double the age of everybody in the goddamn room. Just a bunch of people sipping scotch and drinking PBR out of a can. Literally PBR in a can on the menu, $4. And it's you look around and it's just Jew froze and fucking barbershop quartet straw hats. You know, I mean, just all these dudes. And I'm like, I don't belong there. I don't even belong in the block, the street, the city with these same fucking people. And I walk in and they're just commiserating. And believe me, they were commiserating. Normal people would have been talking. But because they were hipsters with mutton chops, they were definitely commiserating. That's what was happening. And I walk in with Goebel, and he knew one of the comics, and then we're just standing there waiting for it to happen. And it just dawned on me just how out of it I am and how completely out of touch. I didn't know any of these comics. There were bigger names who were supposed to be there. There was a James Adomi and Eddie Pepitone. These are guys who are bigger names. But these other comedians, the guys who ran the room, and then the other comics surrounding them, I don't have any touchstone with these guys at all. And vice versa, and rightfully so. I'm nobody. What the fuck? You know what I mean? They're nobody too, but they're nobody and much younger and with all of their lives ahead of them. They're not in a constant race with Target to try to beat them to the fucking punch and pay their credit card bill. They're drinking PBR out of a can and enjoying it, wearing too tight T-shirts and growing long sideburns. And it was so funny. I picked Goebel up at his house, and he's like, hey, you got to watch Traffic Light and Mr. Sunshine. I'm like, really, you ass? Why? I don't get it. So he's just, I like Paul, but he does stupid shit sometimes, man. He wrote me about going to this thing, and I'm like, great. I said, I'll pick you up. And he's like, okay, about 8:15 or 8:30. I said, fine. I said, do me a favor, have like backup directions. Do you know how to get to this place? Because I'm not going to look. And he wrote me, and he goes, you have a GPS, yes? Interesting. And I wrote him, and I said, yes, I do. But, I always like to have a backup set of directions because I haven't updated in 6 years on my map. And I don't want to get lost in Koreatown because I understand they eat people down there. So I said, do me a favor. Do you think you'll have 5 minutes in the next 10 hours to Google map it for us? And then I went to bed because I'm not up during the day because I have a horrible life. And I picked him up, and thankfully he Google mapped it, and then he bragged about how great his GPS was for the entire ride to the goddamn bar. I'm like, really? Well, then we should have taken your car if it wasn't a wind-up car driven by a toy mouse. Jesus. All right. Sorry. And then we go to the fucking bar, and again, it's a whiff show. Supposed to start at 9, doesn't start till 9:45. And I got to get out of there because I got to go to Graveyardville. So we stay, we watch a couple of comedians, and we bail. And I get home, and I actually had to call. He told me to do the homework, and I had to call Karen to tape Traffic Light because it was on last night. After this debacle, I got to be honest, I probably should have I would have rather stayed home and watched Traffic Light.
Did you know the 4-year-old boy's wallet got stolen by a gorilla?
So, dude, get this. I come home the other day, my door's unlocked.
Yeah.
So I figure somebody broke in. So I go in the house, and someone's using the stereo. Sugar Walls is like blaring through my house.
Okay.
I go upstairs, my bed is unmade. It's like it was made when I left, but somebody screwed it all up. I look around, there's rubbers everywhere.
Dude.
Trojans. Some of them used.
Dude,
Prince fucked Sheena Easton in my bed.
what? Prince didn't have the decency to change your sheets.
Prince is a dick.
And now back to the 40-year-old boy. Already in progress.
Went to a Super Bowl party this weekend. Monday. That seems like bad timing for a Super Bowl party, but it was fun. It's better when you know the outcome of the game. I got to be honest. Because then you can just talk to people and eat and enjoy yourself. I was at the Super Bowl party, and the game itself was the game, and that's fine. Congratulations to all of my fans in Wisconsin or fans who enjoy Green Bay. That's good for them. It's because when your team's not in it, you're just like, yay, whatever. Woo, I don't care. I'm just there to eat macaroni and cheese and stare at the box and have fun and be in a room with comics, which was really cool. I was at Mike Siegel's house for the Super Bowl party. Mike, he ran like a half marathon the day before or that morning. I don't remember. And then he had a Super Bowl party. I'm like, dude, that's crazy. I don't think I've run a half marathon in the past 4 years combined. But good for him. He's in good shape. He goes all over the world, and he goes by himself, my friend Mike Siegel. And he was about to buy his tickets to Egypt 2 weeks ago. Not even joking. Like he was going to go. And he goes, huh? He has friends. Like, he has a bunch of buddies that he's made on his world travels, and they were all going to Egypt. And get this. How about this for weird timing? They were supposed to go to Egypt in a month to start a revolution. Oh, Jesus Christ. How awful is that? You're just about to book everything, and then, oh, my God, the whole rug gets pulled, the whole magic rug, the whole flying carpet gets pulled out from under you. Folks. I watched the Super Bowl. You all watched the Super Bowl. It was fine. We watched the halftime show. That was fine, I suppose. Look, here's the thing. All right, the Black Eyed Peas. People need to draw a line in the sand. People need to realize what they want from their Super Bowl halftime show. Okay? Do they want old men who are accomplished at singing and playing their instruments? Or do they want young, energetic people who are attractive who couldn't sing if you fucking had them at knife point? All right? We can't pick a side and come down on it because you can't bitch about everything. You can't bitch that the Who last year looked like you could practically see them shitting their pants while they were on stage because they're incontinent. You can't bitch about that and then bitch about the Black Eyed Peas being young and running around like idiots and singing and not being able to carry a tune. You have to pick a side. You have to decide which one of those you want to see because that's all there is. There's no middle ground. Otherwise, we're going to get fucking, I was going to say James Taylor, but he's on the old people team. Who would we get? Like, you know what? Carrie Underwood. That's it. She's the direct middle of that. She's the direct middle of young people who can't sing and old people who are really accomplished and really well versed in their instruments and their songs, and you're familiar with their hits. Every year it'll be fucking Carrie Underwood. Is that what you want, folks? Or you know what? It'll just be the American Idol winner. That's who it'll be every year. Some fucking schmaltzy creation that comes wandering out of the primordial ooze with a fucking acoustic guitar strapped around his neck, and he sings some song about rockets and love and hearts and fucking jump off the stage and kill yourself. God damn it. I'll tell you what, they should start, you know what they should just do? From now on, just have the fucking halftime show and have that flyby with the fucking Blue Angels. Just have them carpet bomb the field at halftime. Don't do it in the beginning. Have them just fucking fly over at halftime. Have them sonic boom the shit out of the stadium so then you don't have to listen to the fucking Black Eyed Peas warble. And I mean, look, Fergie is Fergie, all right? We all like Fergie. I think Fergie has the best stomach I've ever fucking seen. Holy shit, does she have a great stomach. I want to just, if I went to go down on her, the problem is I would tongue her navel for about an hour and a half. She wouldn't even get off. I wouldn't even get down to her fucking vagina because I'd have to stop at her navel because I would worship her stomach. Oh my God, it's fantastic. I would draw, you know what? I would take a picture of Fergie and put it on her stomach and cut the mouth out and make out with her navel. That's what I would do. Oh, Jesus. That's a stomach on Fergie. It's fucking fantastic. And a great ass. Jesus, her ass is just ludicrous. And that's the thing is I'm not fucking her voice, so I don't care what she sounds like. But she can sing. Fergie can sing because she was on American Idol a couple of years ago with Heart. Okay, you know that thing? Because again, American Idol has learned you take the old people and you pair them with the young people and you add them and take the average and that's what you get. That's what America likes. Okay? So that's what you need. Maybe you need old people and young people. But all right. Here's the thing. Fergie was on and she sang Barracuda with Heart. It was fucking fantastic. She was great. She nailed it. She fucking traded vocals with Nancy Wilson. It was or with Ann Wilson, I should say. And it was so good. So then I was like, well, Fergie can sing, so that'll make the Super Bowl halftime show tolerable at least. And they came out and it's just a bunch of people with like boxes on their heads and fucking glowing glow sticks. And look, I'm a 45-year-old man. I get it. And by 45, I mean 43. Let's not give me 2 extra years yet. But I'm watching it happen, and I'm at the Super Bowl party, and I'm in a room full of comics, so inevitably it's just everybody just starts carving it up. You know what I mean? But they're not paying much attention to it to carve it up. But everybody gets a snarky line off. She starts singing "Sweet Child," and I even got in, and I'm like, man, if you make Axl sound good live, you've done a terrible job with that song, because it was. Look, I don't think it was good, okay? But at least my buddy David, who does the music for the show, David is like, he goes, I didn't think it was that bad. I go, what do you mean, dude? It was terrible. And he goes, but the thing is, at least they were singing. They weren't canned and auto-tuned out the ass. They were trying. And he goes, you know what? Their albums are canned and auto-tuned music and all that kind of shit, and that's why they sound so good. You get them live and basically doing aerobics while they're trying to sing fucking songs. They did. They tried to cram 6 fucking songs in 11 minutes and run around while they were doing it. They drop Usher from the fucking scoreboard, and then who else showed up? Somebody else was like Slash came out of the ground. I mean, you're watching it, you're just overwhelmed with it. You're just going, just end, fucking just end and stop, okay? But here's the thing. Then I go on Twitter, all right? And again, we all know I have my problems with Twitter. And it was just this crushing, I mean, I'm talking soul-crushing amount of snark and negativity about the Black Eyed Peas. I mean, everybody's got a line. Everybody's got to say this. They suck. It's just, and because there's artful snark, as we know, and then there's artless snark. And that was just artless snark. People kicking them in the balls for no reason. Because I just, and look, I'm not saying you can't have opinions. Because I certainly have plenty of them. But I just think you need to recognize the how hard it is to do what they did. All right, they're trying to sing and entertain the world, and they're running around like psychopaths and trying to hold a note while they're running. I mean, you can't fucking do that. That's why they book old people for the fucking Super Bowl show. They don't run. Did you see Tom Petty running around a few years ago or whatever it was? No, fuck no, he didn't run anywhere. Springsteen had a little giddy up in his step, and he did the thing where he slid his crotch into the camera. But so fucking what? You know what? There's only one Super Bowl show that made any sense. All right, there was only one Super Bowl show that was all right. I'm going to take that back. All right, there are 2. I really thought, this is going to sound stupid, MTV used to do the show, and then after Janet Jackson showed her nipple, that's when they started to bring off the old people. They were like, oh, fuck, we better bring some old people there, because, you know, let's be honest, Pete Townshend's not going to show a nipple to anybody, right? Nobody wants to see Grandpa's nipples. That's not happening. So I watched it. I thought when MTV did it and they had Aerosmith and Britney Spears, I loved that fucking halftime show. I thought it was great because I was like, oh, look, it's old people and young people and they're getting together and they're singing and they're actually enjoying and they're trading vocals and verses of each other's songs. I thought it was great. I was like, yeah, that's perfect. And then, of course, old people complained about that. I can't, Britney Spears, boo, and Aerosmith. Fuck you. Pick a fucking side. Because then when they go to straight old people, they're like, boo, they're too old, they can't move. So now they bring young people, Black Eyed Peas, boo, boo. Fuck, are you going to like anything? Are you going to fucking like anything? There's only one halftime show that everybody can agree on was fantastic. And if you don't, seriously, murder yourself. Or actually, do me a favor. Just get in the car and just start running over people indiscriminately on the sidewalk. Just do that. And then park and get out and just hold your hands in the air until you're arrested because I want you to go to jail and be raped for the rest of your life with these souls haunting you. That's what you deserve. For not liking this. There's only one halftime show, and that was Prince. Prince in 2007, January 2007, it was 2006 football season, and I remember that because there was a team there called the Chicago Bears. Now, how good was Prince's halftime show? It was so good, I almost didn't care that the Bears lost. That's how good he was. Go find it on YouTube because I looked forever on YouTube to try to find it, like for years, like the past few years, and it's never been up because I will say one thing about Prince. First, well, I'll say a few things about Prince. One thing, he's fucking crazy. Prince is crazy, but you know what? He's earned the right to be crazy. It's like Prince could be an asshole to anybody that he wants to be in the world, and if anybody comes up to him and goes, hey, you're being kind of an asshole, he could just go, I wrote controversy, and walk away. Done. That's it. He has a free pass for the rest of his life. He could just say the names of his songs. He should just leave like the names of his songs as a tip at a restaurant. You ever think Prince did that? Like he just goes into a restaurant and he eats and he's just an asshole to everybody. And then the guy takes the bill and he signed. It's like, Prince owed like $64. He's like $64. And in the spot where there's tip, he just wrote Dirty Mind. And then he signed Prince. Holy shit, that's awesome. Yeah, you're goddamn right. Dirty Mind's worth it. I take that. Because you know what? We all need to be in service of Prince. All of us need to go ahead and do whatever we can to make life better for Prince. God damn it, the guy deserves it. He's brought so much into our fucking lives. We need to do everything we can for Prince. And the thing is, Prince is an asshole. He acts like he just does his funky purple nonsense all over the fucking place, and he gets away with it because he's fucking Prince. It's genius. He did that halftime show. He busted out, he did Let's Go Crazy. And then he did Purple Rain in the middle of it. And then, out of nowhere, he did All Along the Watchtower by Jimi Hendrix. And then he threw in Best of You by the Foo Fighters. Now, here's something you might not know. He threw in Best of You by the Foo Fighters. Dave Grohl of the Foo Fighters did not know Prince was going to do that. He had no concept that that was going to happen. And the thing is, Dave Grohl is a huge Prince guy to the point where they actually used to do Darling Nikki on stage, and they've released it on. You can get it on. I don't know if it's on a CD actually, or if it came in a bonus set. But the Foo Fighters did Darling Nikki off of fucking Purple Rain. So I like to think that Prince knew that they did Darling Nikki, and he sat in his Prince castle. He just sat there in like his Prince house, and it was like the scene in Purple Rain where you ever see when he's got that little puppet, that little pop-up puppet when he's talking to Wendy and Lisa? He's like, yeah, they're all just jealous of you, and he makes that stupid voice. I think Prince is like that in real life. I think he sits in his house with that puppet, and he pops it out. Yeah, I'll tell you what, I should just go ahead and leave a tape that says Dirty Mind. That's what he fucking does. So he heard Darling Nikki, and he was up in his diabolical purple fucking mansion, and he just had his fucking fingers together. He's like, pulled up the little puppet, and he's like, I'm going to do their song on the fucking Super Bowl halftime show. There's nothing they can fucking do about it. He just fucking did it. Dave Grohl says, he goes, I was at a Super Bowl party, and he heard the notes, and he's just like, no, that's not fucking happening, right? And the Prince does Best of You, and never even asked permission, never even fucking, they didn't even know he was going to do it. God damn it, that's what Prince should be able to do at all times. Prince should just roam the land and come to your house and sleep in it and eat your food and fuck your women, and you should go, yes, thank you, Prince. God damn it, the guy rules. His halftime show was fantastic. Jesus, it was just fun. He's playing in a driving rainstorm. That's the best part. I love to think that he never even gave his set list to the fucking NFL because he's Prince. He just does whatever the fuck he wants. He walked in, they were like, what's your set list? And he just mailed back a note with that symbol on it that he changed his name to. They're like, all right, well, I look forward to hearing it because he's goddamn Prince. He can do whatever the fuck he wants, whenever the fuck he wants. God damn it, I love him. I love him. The stories you hear about him, he was on American Idol too. He did American Idol a couple of years ago. Well, he was supposed to do American Idol. They hoped he was going to do American Idol. He had told them he was going to do American Idol. Then he didn't show up. So they're waiting, and they're waiting, and they're waiting for him to show up, and he's still not there. They're doing a live program, and they have a section blocked off for Prince. He's not there. Nobody knows where the fuck he is. And sure enough, 10 minutes before Prince's segment, a limousine pulls up out back. Prince walks out of the limousine, walks into the back of the room, comes all the way through. His band is set up. He doesn't say anything to anybody. He takes his guitar and goes out on stage when they introduce him, plays his fucking song, plays his fucking solo, finishes, turns around on his fucking 4-inch heeled boot, and walks the fuck out. They try to talk to him, like Ryan Seacrest and Simon and Paula Abdul. They're like dancing, and they're like, and then they go to talk to Prince. He plays, throws the fucking guitar, turns around on the boot, walks all the way back, walks through the back of the thing, gets in the limousine, and fucking drives away. Prince. Just fucking game blouses at all times for Prince. God damn it, he's awesome. Oh, he's the greatest. I've seen him. I've actually seen him a couple of times. I saw him in. Unfortunately, I haven't seen him recently. I saw him on both the Purple Rain tours. I saw him twice on Purple Rain, and I actually saw him 2 nights in a row. All right, I'll tell you this story. All right, so I was I was a kid. Obviously, this is this is the 5th year of my second senior year, 5th year of high school, and at the time I was working at a grocery store, which I will tell you about another time. But there was a woman there who was a cashier who I had a crush on, like a major crush on. Her name was Chris Gannon. And she liked me too. Like she thought I was very funny. Because again, even though I was a fucking idiot, I was still funny. So as a bagger, this is before I was checking. This is when I was a bagger. I would always be at her aisle. I would bag for her. I would just and constantly talk to Chris. And I really liked her. So she had said to me, she liked Prince, and I was excited about Prince because in 1984 had come out that summer, and she wanted to go see Prince, and she had a boyfriend named Doug, and I'd never met Doug. I knew Chris for over a year. I was crushing on her this whole time, and never met Doug. I only heard about Doug to the point where I started to wonder if she was like Phoebe Cates in Fast Times at Ridgemont High, and she had made up a Doug to keep me at arm's length. I have no idea, but Chris and I, like I said, we had hit it off, and we were getting together, and we actually started to go out a little bit. Like we'd go. She was the one who was with me when I saw Breakfast Club. I think I told you this story, and I was sobbing at the end of it. Unfortunately, sitting in my chair with this girl who was 23, all right, and I'm fucking 16 or 17 at the time, but she thinks I'm older. Like I had told her I was older. So I'm like crying at the end of Breakfast Club, and she's like, "Are you all right?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a poo," fucking sad idiot, trying not to, like I didn't want to, but instead, you know what? I wanted to impress this hot 23-year-old, and that I'm crushing on was overwhelmed by, "Oh my God, I'm John Bender. That's me." So I watched when he put the fucking fist in the air. I'm just like sobbing at the end, horrible. But to her credit, she overlooked it. And so we would go out more and more. We actually went, here's a funny story I'll tell you. I think I told you this story. She wanted to go to a comedy club once. And, I was a guy who, I wanted to be a comedian. All right. I knew that at the time. So I said, all right, well, let's go to a comedy club. So we went to a club called Who's on First. It was in Elmhurst, I believe. And we saw, it was a night of a bunch of comedians. There wasn't anybody famous there. But there was this one comedian who went up on stage. And I think I've told this story, but bear with me. This comedian went up, and he was so funny. I don't know what it was about him, but he was dry, and he did an imitation. The thing that had stuck with me is he did an imitation of Brian Keith from Family Affair. And he sounded like him. He would do all of his like, the whole thing was that no matter what would happen, he would just put his head in his hands. He was just like, yeah. I can't even explain the bit. But it was perfect. It was a spot-on Brian Keith. And who does Brian Keith? I mean, that's ridiculous. So he was so funny, that guy, and I actually wanted to meet him. Like I was like, I should go talk to that guy, and I'm like, that's weird. I can't talk to him. So flash forward 10 years, probably. I'm on the road with Mike Toomey, my friend Mike Toomey, and Mike had been around in Chicago for a really long time, and he was well known. He could do impressions of like all the old Chicago comedians. There was a guy named Orlando Reyes, and Mike could do all of their voices to the point where if he called you as one of them, you would think it was them on the phone. So we were driving one night to North Dakota. And we were talking about old Chicago comedians and, talking about all the history. And I said, all right, I'm going to ask you this because you would probably know. I said, I was in a comedy club. The first time I was ever in a comedy club to see stand-up, I was with a date, and we saw a guy, and he did a whole bit about Family Affair and Brian Keith. And he did this bit about how, no matter what happened, Brian Keith was unflappable, but he would always, take a beat, put his head in his hands, and be like, yeah, Jody, I love you. Could you get my gun out of the dresser drawer? This whole thing. But I knew the bit, and I did the bit back for Mike, and Mike's laughing. He's like, oh, that's me. I went, what? He goes, that's me. That's like one of the first bits I ever did on stage was I would do Brian Keith from Family Affair. So 10 years later, the funniest fucking guy in the world in Chicago, I'm in the car with him. We're great friends now. I go with him and feature all over the place. And he was someone who made me want to do stand-up when I was fucking 17 years old. He was a guy I had seen in a club. And went, oh my God, yeah, this makes me think that I could do this. I want to do this because that's really funny. It turned out it was a guy that I wound up being great friends with later. It was the same dude. So that was really an odd story. All right, so, but Chris and I would go out, we'd go to movies, we'd go wherever, but I was getting nowhere, I should tell you that. I mean, I was never able to I would say that I'd never closed the deal. There was no deal in play. I never opened the bidding. None of that even happened. It was like we were just platonic friends, but it was enough for me to be going out with her and spending time with her and smelling her. I mean, I was excited about all of that. And it was so funny. She never asked any, because I didn't drive at this time. I would tell you that. I didn't know how to drive because I was a guy who failed driver's ed because I fell asleep. Well, sorry, again, another story from a million years ago. But so I couldn't drive. So she had to drive everywhere. I mean, I think back on it. I'm like, I'm sobbing at movies. She's got to drive me around. No wonder I didn't get laid. Jesus Christ. She might have been driving a puppy around to fucking movies as far as she was concerned. There had to be no sexual tension whatsoever for her. But she, for some reason, liked hanging out with me and wanted to be with me all the time. So, and I don't know who Doug was, or I guess Doug saw me as no threat. So, she had mentioned she wanted to go see Prince, and Doug didn't want to see him. So I could not wait to spend my bagger money on Prince tickets. And I was supposed to also go with a friend of mine, my buddy Jeff, and I were going to go. But I was like, I can't bring Jeff with Chris. That'll be weird. For no reason. It wouldn't be weird at all. Because here's the thing. Jeff worked with me at the grocery store as a bagger. He and I worked together. He knew Chris. He knew her. She was, friends with us. But I didn't want to take the chance that somehow, for some reason, she would prefer to be talking to Jeff instead of me. So I was like, that's fucking strange. I can't just bring them together. So here's what I devised, folks. I bought 5 tickets to Prince. I bought 2 tickets for the first night so me and Chris could go. And, of course, as we were there watching Prince, the two of us would immediately fall in love. And there would not be a problem with bringing her the next night with Jeff. See? Done. Perfect. I wouldn't have to compete with Jeff because again, you got to remember this is my virgin mind thinking. You know what I mean? I'd come close. I mean, I'd been face deep in some ladies and stuff like that, and finger blasted everybody and gotten blowjobs and done everything, but I hadn't fucked anyone yet. So my virgin mind was like, I can't even compete with Jeff with Chris, even though Jeff had no interest in Chris. It didn't fucking matter. You know what I mean? But it didn't. I didn't even want the cock block the possibility. What if Jeff said something funnier than me? Oh my God, she would hate me. You know what I mean? It was like that weird, like 17-year-old logic of like, I don't even want to compete. I want to be with her and everything and let it go smooth. And then the next night after I've, once again, we're completely together and in love and Doug's out of the picture. I didn't even think about Doug. Fuck Doug. All right. So I buy 5 Prince tickets. We're going to go. So the first night I go with Chris and the show's amazing. I had 18th row main floor when I saw it with Chris. She picks me up. We go to the show and the Purple Rain tour was fucking fantastic. The time opened and then Prince was, it was just, I can't even explain to you how great it was. And at the end, in the encore, Purple Rain was the encore, of course, and purple, like flowers and confetti fell from the ceiling during the encore. So I'm on the main floor, and you're looking through all of this confetti, and I will tell you, this is going to sound horrible, but I have to cop to it. All right, Purple Rain was, to come out that summer, and this was the last summer I was spending with my friends. My friends Jeff and Dennis and all these guys, they were all going away to college, and I had no future. So I was staying behind in Bolingbrook to go to a 5th year of high school. And I vividly remember being with Jeff the night before he left for college, and we were playing Purple Rain because it was, the album of 1984, and being sad and crying because my best friend, who I had basically spent every day of the past 4 years with, was leaving. And so I was dealing with that fucking weird anxiety, and he was splitting, and I was sad, and so Purple Rain had it fucking would nail me in the heart every time I'd hear it. Well, I'm on 18th row main floor, confetti, and the first fucking the ring. I can't do the fucking. You hear that guitar note, and then he starts playing. He's playing the fucking pristine white guitar, and he's been fantastic, and the show is outrageous. And all I could think of was my friend was gone when he hit the note, and I, of course, go to pieces. I start fucking crying on the floor at Prince because it was so beautiful. I mean, the whole show was fantastic, and I'm like, I'm with Chris, and I actually held her hand at one point during the show. It was like I went for it, and she held my hand back, and I was like, this is awesome. And then Purple Rain starts, and I just start sobbing because I'm like, I'm happy but sad. It's like all these different conflicts. You know what? I was 17. That explains it, right? I don't need to tell you anything else. I was 17 years old, so I fucking started crying when Prince started playing Purple Rain at the concert. That happened. And I will tell you this, I'm sobbing. There's confetti. It's falling, flowers. He's fucking Purple Raining it up. And I look over at Chris, and she's looking at me, and she's kind of smiling, but also she makes a face. And I look back at Prince, and I realize I'm crying, so my face is like wet. And I have purple confetti stuck like all over my goddamn face. Because I had looked up to see where it was falling from, and it had landed on my head. So I look like Grimace. That's what I look like. I'm trying to be all romantic and excited, and I kind of, I'm holding her hand, and I sneak a glance at her, and she just went, oh, great, I'm on a date with the goddamn Hamburglar. This is fucking horrible. I might as well have given her a shamrock shake and fucking hitchhiked home with my one thumb. God damn it, Grimace. Horrible. So I sat there in fucking tears, and Chris she was very nice about it. You know what I mean? She didn't, poke fun or whatever. I like to think that she was touched by it. That's what I like to think. I know that's not the case. But I sure do like to think it, because now even fucking 26 years later, I'm fucking sick inside telling this goddamn story. It's so brutal. All right, so we drive home, and she drove, so she has to take me to my house, and I actually, like, I don't even know how to get a goodnight kiss at this point, because the times I've gotten them, I've been dating girls. You know what I mean? So you just started kissing. It just sort of happened. So I have no game. I mean, not like I have game now, but I certainly didn't at 17, and certainly not after the Grimace face. So we get to my house, and I lean over, and I thank her for coming, and she's going with me the next night too. So I said, all right. So I said, and we'll go tomorrow. And she's like, yeah, okay, that'll be cool. And then I kind of like leaned in for a kiss, and she leaned backwards right when I leaned in. Like, it was perfect synchronicity. Like, it was like, and she, like, you ever try to put magnets together that won't go together? That's what we were at that point. And the only thing I could think is she didn't want to get confetti in her mouth. I mean, because I should tell you, I never cleaned it off of my face. I was so, it was so heartfelt that it was such a moment that I wanted to cherish and remember. I left the confetti on my face for at least 9 days. All right, so I leaned forward and she kind of leaned back, still smiling, still making eye contact, but very much letting me know that there would be no kissing that night. So I was like, okay, well, so tomorrow, great. I said, I'll call you tomorrow. And she's like, great. And I got out of the car and went in. And then, I thought I had a successful, awesome night. I was like, oh, it was great. I held her hand, and Prince was awesome. And I was sad for a second there, but I'm sure that nobody's going to remember that. That's over with, right? That's finished. So I did what anybody else would do. I leaned back and jerked off, thinking about what a great night I had. And I should you know what? I will tell you because, all right, horrible. Brace yourselves. First of all, you know what? I got to correct myself. It was not the time. It was fucking Sheila E. that opened, because when I jerked off, Sheila E. was right there. I mean, she was absolutely in it. It was not the time. It was Sheila E. But and I remember, all right, judge me if you will. 17 years old, who cares? I was so excited to jerk off with the hand that had held Chris's hand. Yeah, horrible, probably. Yeah, don't mock. That's fine. Sure, of course. So I was like, yeah, here we go. That's how close it is. That's the degrees of separation. And it dawns on me, you know what? The show was not the next night because Jeff had to get home from Southern. He was down at Southern Illinois in school. So I think it was 2 nights later. But the next day I called Chris and talked to her on the phone. And, we had talked all the time on the phone. And I was setting up, I just wanted to go ahead and touch base and make sure she had a good time. And Chris told me that Doug didn't want her to go to the show with me the next night. Now, let me tell you, folks, you have made a stunning impression on a woman if she uses her imaginary boyfriend to cancel a date with you. He had to be imaginary. I mean, he had to be, because she went with me all the time. We go to movies all over the fucking place. When did she see this fucking guy? I had no idea. But apparently, imaginary Doug laid down the law. And let's put it this way. I never met Doug. I wound up never meeting Doug, but I can tell you exactly what he looked like. He looked like a 17-year-old boy with tears and confetti all over his face. Don't awe me. I'm being serious. That's exactly the image she had in her mind when she went, yeah, Doug's saying that I can't go to the show. So, because that's exactly who told her she couldn't go. So, my plans of falling in love with Chris were dashed, of course. Well, I mean, let's put it this way. My plans of my falling in love with Chris being returned in any way were dashed. I still was not going to put the torch out. I figured I could vault this Doug problem eventually, but I wasn't going to be able to talk her into going. But I had already bought the ticket, so what the fuck am I going to do? I'm not going to eat a ticket. I got to go, and Jeff's going with me, so I'm excited about that. So I didn't know who to take. And again, folks, virgin 17-year-old idiot doesn't know anything. There was a girl, I will tell you this, there was a girl in my school at the time. And again, this is my second senior year, 5th year of high school. There was a girl in one of my classes. And she would talk to me, and she was kind of a cute girl. And I knew she loved Prince because she had talked about how bad she wanted to go. And I will tell you this, too. This is weird. Again, make yourself 17 again and think of this. We were talking once in class, and she touched my hair. And for some reason, that made me think, this chick is into me. She was talking about how my hair looked nice, and she ran her hand through it, like that thing, because my hair was, folks, I had a head of hair, and it was feathered back. Like it was that, crazy feathered back hair. And she put her hand in it, and she ran her hand back, and she's like, yeah. She goes, that just feathers back. And, I immediately had a hard-on, of course. I mean, it's high school. I'm a walking hard-on at that point. But she puts her hands in my hair. I was like, oh, my God. So I had never forgotten that moment, of course, to the point where I actually went home and jerked off with my hair just so it would be closer to the hand that put her hand through it. And that's a trick, folks. Don't kid yourselves. That takes a lot of bending and one small futon, but I fucking pulled it off. Just got to grab a handful of my hair and there you go. Ran off a batch of fucking moose. All right, so her name was Laura Cerny. And she was this little girl. She was kind of funky. Like she wore like a belt chain, and she had boots. She wore boots all the time. And she was tiny, man. She was like 5 foot tall, 5 foot nothing. And I was like, you know what? Why don't I ask Laura if she would want to go to the show? Because, she touched my hair. She likes me, right? And I know she loves Prince. So I'm thinking that I'm going to, that's a sure thing if I buy her a Prince ticket. So I actually had to get her phone number from like 2 different people. Like I had to make phone calls. And I called her to see if she wanted to go, and she fucking screamed, like really screamed loudly on the phone. And she's like, "Oh my God, yes! Oh my God, that's so Michael, thank you so much! Oh my God!" And she was so happy. And why wouldn't she be? It's fucking Prince, folks. Have I mentioned Prince? I spent the weekend because I found the Super Bowl halftime show. It's on YouTube now. Somebody put it up in December of 2010, and I watched it. It's fucking amazing. And then there's clips. He's in Madison Square Garden. He's been there he's played like 7 nights, and he constantly changes the set list up. And there's clips on YouTube. There's a clip. Oh, dude, go find it. There's a clip of CeeLo. He has CeeLo open him for him, and CeeLo did Crazy, and CeeLo is singing on stage, and they're playing the beginning of Crazy, and he's about to start singing, and Prince just walks up the stairs from underneath the stage, and the place goes fucking bananas. And he's Prince, so he's wearing like a red shirt with pants. I mean, he gets to wear whatever he wants because he's Prince. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. So he walks up, and the guy hands him his guitar, and he nails the solo in Crazy, and you're just like, oh my God, how great would it be if CeeLo would have had Prince on Crazy? And then you start to extrapolate it, and you go, how great would it be if Prince played on every record anybody ever cut in the world? Because he's the greatest person who's ever lived. Prince is the greatest person who's ever lived. I heard he's like a Jehovah's Witness, and he's a crazy dancing machine. Like he can do the splits and all that fucking jumping around and shit. And he's tiny and he wears boots all the time. He's like Laura Cerny. He was about Laura Cerny's size. Maybe that's why I asked her, because I thought I'd be actually having Prince with me at the Prince show. But sure enough, he's fucking I heard that he needs surgery on both hips. Like he needs hip replacements from all these years of abuse, but he won't do it because he's a Jehovah's Witness and they don't believe in surgery. But then when you watch him, he still dances and moves and does that shit. He's just like, I'm Prince. Fuck it. I'm soldiering through it because I'm goddamn Prince. Go watch the clip of the fucking the Hall of Fame induction with George Harrison, dude. Prince gets inducted into the Hall of Fame the same year as George Harrison, and at the end they have like the jam session and they're playing While My Guitar Gently Weeps, and then Prince just out of nowhere shows up and he just starts playing the solo, and he fucking destroys the place. He shreds it. It's Tom Petty, all these different people on stage, and you don't care. None of them mean anything because Prince just comes on and he's this charisma vacuum and sucks all of the attention his way. And the best part is you see George Harrison's kid on stage, and he's got this smile on his face like, this is, yep, that's it. I can die because it will never get any better than this. He's George Harrison's son. His dad was one of the Beatles, and he's looking at Prince like, this is the greatest moment of my life. Because Prince never grounded him. That's why. He's got that separation. George Harrison has the dad thing with him, but he's like, dude, you could say, I'm sperm from the Beatles. That's what I am. But it doesn't matter because he's looking at Prince. He just got this look on his face like, holy shit. And then Prince also at the end of the solo, if I remember correctly, he just storms off. Just fucking disappears again. Walks out the back, gets in the limo, leaves. Goes home and makes fucking pancakes for Charlie Murphy and his flunkies. God damn it, Prince. That fucking story on the Chappelle Show, both those stories, Rick James and Prince stories, if those are real stories, again, if you're Charlie Murphy, you can die a happy man. That Prince story, dude, when Charlie Murphy tells the Prince story, all right, look, it's fucking hysterical anyway. But then they wind up back at Prince's house and they're going to play basketball. I'm sharing this with you now. I always say there are moments, if aliens came to Earth and they wanted to know what comedy was, what would I show them? There's a couple. One of them is there's a scene in It's a Mad, 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 Mad World where Ethel Merman is trying to call Dick Shawn on the phone. And she pulls up to a phone booth. The whole thing is everybody's trying to get to a big W. There's a treasure that they're all trying to get to. And there's 15 different teams trying to get to a treasure. So it dawns on Ethel Merman while she's in the car, hey, my son Sylvester lives in that town. We can call him and he'll go get the treasure before anybody shows up. So they cut away to a few other people. Then they cut to Ethel Merman at a phone booth. She has the phone to her ear. And the phone is ringing, and she's just like looking at the phone. It's that. So they cut to Sylvester's house where the phone is. And I'm never going to make this funny. You have to see it. In Sylvester's house, he lives in like a surf shack, like a cowabunga surf shack. He's wearing nothing but swim trunks. And he has a woman there in a fringe bikini. And they are listening to the craziest. I don't even know what this song is. It's a song I've never heard before in my life. I want to buy it just so I can do this dance in my house. And the woman in the fringe bikini is doing a dance with a completely straight, serious face. and she's doing this like weird twist and the fringe is moving on her bikini, and Dick Shawn is Sylvester. He's screaming at the top of his lungs. He's like, "Woo, mama!" And he's hitting himself in the he's punching himself in the head. He's so happy. And the phone, you see the phone in the background, you just hear it ringing. It's just ringing periodically. It's ringing and ringing while he's playing this song and dancing around, and this crazy woman, they cut back to Ethel Merman at the phone booth. She's like, "I know he's home." It's like, yes, he's home. He's doing the craziest thing you could ever imagine because it's perfect comedy. Have you ever called anybody and the phone is ringing? You're like, fuck, I know they're there. What could they possibly be doing? You know what they could be doing? They could be wearing swim trunks and punching themselves in the head while a stone-faced, serious hot chick dances around in a fringe bikini. And you jump on the floor. It's fucking fantastic comedy because it's just that mystery of, I know he's there. What's going on? That's what's going on. Something you would never guess in a million years is going on. Fucking brilliant funny. So, and the same thing with the Chappelle Show. The Rick James and Charlie Murphy, that story is fantastic. But Prince and Charlie Murphy, dude, when he's telling the story about how they're at the club, and then they go to Prince's house, and they're hanging out listening to new jams, and then Prince says, "Does anybody want to play basketball?" If you were with Prince, first of all, being in Prince's house is weird enough. All right, I can't even imagine doing it. But then Prince challenges you to a game of 5-on-5 at his personal basketball court. All right, that's crazy enough. And the reaction shots of Charlie Murphy, it's told beautifully. Prince is like, "Do you want to play some basketball?" And Charlie Murphy just goes like, "Ah, ah," like he starts to laugh. And the Prince says, "You and your friends against me and the revolution." And Charlie Murphy, he doesn't even look. He does that weird like thing, like where he just puts his hand out and grabs his friend's hand and goes, "Ah, ah, ah, ah," and they're looking at the floor like he can't believe that Prince is challenging him to basketball. It's the craziest thing in the world, and it is, again, if I was going to show anybody comedy, I would show them that moment when he challenged them to basketball, and then Prince has his butler get clothes for Charlie Murphy and his friends. He gets them basketball clothes, so they change. They change into fucking shorts and short sleeve shirts, and they go down. And again, the storytelling, the camera work, the reveal on it is so beautiful. Charlie Murphy's like, "Yeah, we change into this stuff, and we get downstairs, and Prince shows up, and they cut to just this smoke, like a smoke-filled room, and you just hear like, and he goes, and they come downstairs dressed in the same shit they were wearing at the club." Prince is still wearing this fucking long-ass purple trench coat, and all of his friends, the guy, Mickey Free from Shalimar, they're all wearing the fucking torn shirts and leather pants they had on at the nightclub, and they're still going to play basketball. They made Charlie Murphy change clothes. They made him and his friends put on these, like, fucking ragtag duds that they had whenever they challenged anybody. I just picture Prince and the Revolution constantly working on setting back picks. Like, they were playing hoop all the time, and they had these clothes there just in case 5 people came over that they could challenge to a basketball game. Are you shitting me? Now, look, I know Prince is like a recluse up in his funky purple mansion, and rarely does he get company, but the fact that he would have clothes on hand just in case, on the off chance 5 people stopped by, and me and the Revolution could challenge them to a basketball game. Oh my God, you could not write that sketch. If you wrote that sketch, you'd be so proud of yourself forever. You'd be like, "Oh, I wrote the sketch where Prince challenged some guys to basketball, and then he wore the outfit, the boots, and still beat their ass. Holy shit, game, blouses, the fucking dunk." It's literally the funniest moment. I remember because Jeff, it was Jeff or Dave Mex. No, it might have been Mex who called me and is like, "You have to see. Have you ever seen this?" I go, "No, I don't. What are you talking about?" He goes, "Dude, you have to see this." And I watched it, and I might have been paralyzed with laughter. Like my stomach, like I was holding it. I was in pain because it was so fucking gorgeous. They came down wearing the same shit they were wearing in the club. He's just like completely thrown. Oh my God. So how did I even spin off into that? Because Prince is a genius. Because I've been watching YouTube clips of him for the fucking 4 days. There was a clip where they were like, Prince kicks Kim Kardashian off stage. And I watched it, and everybody made a big deal out of it. But what they don't realize is Prince kicks everybody off stage. That's what he does. He'll bring a girl up, and he'll make her dance. He'll go, "Let's do the bump." Boom, 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 boom. And he does a bump, and he goes, "Get off the stage." That's what he does. Just because it was Kim Kardashian doesn't mean he was doing it in a mean way. He does it to everyone because he didn't fucking care. He didn't go, "Oh, look, Kim Kardashian." He went, "You, come on up." And he just brought a hot chick from the stage up, and they're supposed to do the bump with Prince. And she just stood there like a fucking bump on a goddamn log. And he was like, "All right, get off the stage," which is what he does to everybody. So it was her fault for not dancing, but he kicks everybody off. It wasn't Kim specific. But I will tell you this too. Let's be honest. I love Prince, and good for him. He's an athletic guy. He's got bad hips. He does not want to do the bump with Kim Kardashian. That is not an ass you want to bump lightly, folks. That is either she's going to do the bump and Prince is going to wind up in the fucking upper deck, or he's just going to get sucked into the Kim fucking ass vortex, and all you'll see is just like a starfish with a purple hand fucking hanging out of it. That's going to be horrible. You don't want that to happen. So yeah, he gave up. But watch the clips. God damn it, that CeeLo solo and just any clip you can. Just watch Prince. He's the fucking man. All right, so he was worth tears and confetti all over my goddamn face. He earned it. So Laura's going to go with me to the show, and I called Jeff. And I have to explain to him that Chris isn't going, and I have to explain to him that Laura is now going. And he doesn't really know Laura, okay? But I will tell you this: in school, because Laura's younger than us, so Jeff was class of '84, and now he's already down at college. And Jeff was, I'm not going to lie, he was like a ladies' man in school. You know what I mean? He banged a bunch of chicks, and he was always dressed nice, like, wearing sweaters and fucking bow ties and shit in school. Like, I mean, you know why? Because Jeff played basketball and he hung out with the brothers, so he knew how to dress. So he was that guy who could dress and dance, and he was fucking hysterical. He wasn't me. I mean, I was just funny. You know what I mean? Nobody wants just funny, but the fucking and then crying at a drop of a hat. Nobody wants that. Can't drive. I'm very attractive. So I tell Jeff, I'm like, yeah, we're going to go, and this girl Laura's going to go. He's like, great. He goes, who's driving? And because Chris was going to drive me and Jeff. And I go, oh, dude, I don't know. And he goes, well, I can't, my car, because he had a small car and it wouldn't fit 3 people. And I tried to explain to him how Laura was really small. Maybe we could I'll just wrap her around my face at that point like a goddamn air mask in a plane. You know what I mean? And then if we hit a speed bump, Laura will deploy from the ceiling. I'll just wrap her around my face and try to fucking breathe. Because she was tiny. Wait for it. And he's just like, dude, that's not going to happen. I mean, and I think Davo, his brother, had the car too. So he's like, we can't do it. And I'm like, fuck. All right. So now we got to find a way to the Rosemont Horizon to see Prince. So the only thing I could do was I could ask my mom if we could use the car. Except I can't drive the car because I can't drive. Now, I should tell you at this time, my stepdad, Dan, is living with us. He's not my stepdad yet, but he's like my mom's new boyfriend. And we get along, but it's as weird as you would think. I mean, it's just a guy who lives in your house, you know what I mean? And to his credit, he wasn't telling us what to do. He didn't try to be a disciplinarian. He didn't try to do anything to us. He just lived there. And he was a nice guy. He liked football, so we liked him, and he didn't get in our way, and we didn't get in his. And it was funny. He had just been in a motorcycle accident, so he was kind of wrecked up. But he had his own car there, so I knew that my mom would actually maybe let me use the car because Dan had a car. So I went through and I explained the situation. I'm like, look, my friend Chris can't go, and she's out, so Jeff's going to go, but he can't use his car. Can we use the car? She's like, well, you can't drive it. I go, I know, but Jeff will drive. And my mom, again, another thing, in addition to being really, good looking and he could dance and he could dress well, Jeff was also a guy that everybody loved. Like, my mom knew she could trust Jeff. Again, I've explained that Jeff was the amorphous peg. He could get along with anybody, and everybody thought that he was great until he got 2 beers in him, and then he punched Kip Durbin in the face in a parking lot. All right, that's who Jeff was. Because Jeff was like me, but with a harder candy shell on the outside, all right? Jeff was like me with a brain. Like, I would say whatever the fuck I wanted and do whatever the fuck I wanted and didn't care about it. Jeff picked his spots. Good for him. So, but it would drive me crazy because then everybody would be like, oh my God, Jeff is just the fucking great. Like, even now, like, all the wives think Jeff is like, oh, he's so sweet. He's this, he's that. And I'm just like, okay. You weren't there when he punched a homeless guy. All right, so when I had to tackle him in Chicago and prevent him from literally fighting like 9 dudes and just sprinting into a crowd punching, I mean, like, yeah, he's that guy. So I convinced my mom, like, Jeff will drive, it'll be fine. And I should tell you, my mom at the time, we used to get a bunch of cars from my uncle. My uncle owns a big towing company in Chicago, and he owns a gas station. And he would get cars that they would tow that nobody would claim or whatever, and he'd fix them up, and he would give them to, his kids or whoever needed them, guys who worked there. So my mom would get a never-ending supply of cars from my uncle. They were older cars. They would beat up, but they ran perfectly, and they were great. So at the time, my mom was driving a 1972 Dodge Polara, which we used to call the Beast because it was just that. It was a huge baby blue, hard shell black top looked like the Deathmobile from Animal House. It was just this. It took no guff from anybody. My mom drove fast. My mom liked to drive fast, and she would do this thing. Crazy enough, when she would be driving, we'd be on the road, and a song would come on the radio that she would like. She would turn it up and lead foot it, and she would actually drive to the beat of the music sometimes and laugh, say there was an Elvis song and it was stuck. There's a song called "Stuck on You" and it would go "Stuck on You," boom 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 boom, and my mom would go. And she would rev the car with the song, and we'd jump because there was the engine was retarded. I mean, it was there was so much power in this fucking car, and it made that noise that oh, dude, it was a weapon in my mom's hands. But she would laugh and smoke and play Elvis and fucking drive like a psycho. So I was going to get my hands on the beast for the night. So I was excited. I was like, all right, here we go. Jeff comes in. Eddie Haskell's my mom, so she trusts him. We get the car and we split. We got to go pick up Laura. So the Beast is a giant car, and it could probably fit 3 people in the front. We go to Laura's house to pick her up. She comes out, and she's looking great in her little black suit and little black clothes and silver belly chain and boots with silver buckles. She was very, I guess she was goth before goth was cool, I guess. But she walked out, and I let her in the car, and I let her in the front, and I sat in the back because I thought I was being polite because I thought it would look weird if all 3 of us were in the front. So we get in there, and she sees Jeff, and she goes, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know you were coming." And he's like, "Yeah." And we explain, and she's like, "Oh, is this your car?" And she's like, I noticed that she's starting to what's the proper word here? She's starting to moon over Jeff in the front seat. And I mean, I should tell you, I'm in the back seat of the Beast, which means I may as well be in a U-Haul trailer behind it, because this car is a living room with wheels. I mean, it is this giant fucking monstrous car. And she gets in the front seat, and all she's doing, she's talking to Jeff. "Oh my God, where'd you go to school? You went to Southern. Oh my God, it's so great. You're in college." And I'm like, literally, I have to lean forward on the edge of the back seat and then lean up and put my elbows and be like, "Hey guys, what's going on?" I mean, I'm some of the worst. I'm Flounder in Animal House. That's who I am. I'm just like, "Hey, you guys playing cards up here? Yeah." So fucking horrible. So, and Jeff, to his credit, he's just being nice, and he's being charming, and he's being himself, and he's talking to her, and he's trying to include me as well, but you can see that she has no interest in talking to me whatsoever. And part of me wants to go up and put my hair on her face. "Hey, remember that? Remember my cool hair? Go ahead, run your hand through my hair. Please, help us out." But we're going down, we're driving the Beast, and we get to the concert, and we walk in, and she's walking alongside Jeff, to the point where we actually go to walk in, and she Jeff lets her in the door first, and then he goes in behind her, and I walk in, and she goes, "Oh, he has the tickets back there." She goes, come on. And I'm the fucking ticket holder. I'm nobody. I'm the valet at this fucking point. I'm the turnkey that got her into the fucking Prince concert. That's the only thing I am. So we go to our seats, and she spends the whole time talking to Jeff. She's standing on the seat. She's leaning on Jeff's shoulder, and he's looking at me like, "Dude, I'm sorry. I don't get." And she wanted nothing to do with me, dude. I brought her to Prince. That's the only thing I did. I was the guy who brought her to Prince. She didn't talk to me the entire night. Not once. Unless I asked her if she wanted a Coke at one point, and she's just like, she looks at Jeff, she's like, "What do you want?" I mean, it was that blatantly bad. And so we're watching the show, and it's fucking phenomenal. Prince is there. Sheila E. She brings a guy up on stage. It's funny. You thought Prince kicking Kim Kardashian off stage? Sheila E. brought a dude up, and 2 security guards made him sit in a chair, and she jerked him off basically in front of everybody. That was her whole deal. It was lipstick on your collar, she sang, and she would run her hands all over him, and the guys were told, "Do not put your hands on her. Don't." There were big guys standing next to them, because one guy tried to reach up, and they immediately grabbed his arms and yanked him down. And then she basically gave a guy a lap dance and got him off in front of everybody. You're just like, whoa. And I wouldn't know. I think she did it the second night. I know she did it the first night when I was with Chris. The second night I didn't notice because I was just staring at Laura talking to Jeff and holding onto his jacket and trying to fucking get into his pants the entire time we were standing there watching goddamn Prince. And I'll tell you, it was one of the first lessons I ever had in girls can make you do whatever they want you to do. Does that make sense? No, girls can make you do whatever they want you to do. Is that what I said the first time? I don't know. I'm confused. All I know is I was a goddamn Laura Cerny puppet. I mean, I bought her Prince tickets. I think I bought her a Coke, and the whole time she just sat there and stared. I think she looked at Jeff more than she looked at Prince. Seriously, she screamed her lungs out and had a great time at the fucking show. But she kept. I mean, I would try to look at her and talk to her, and nothing. I mean, to the point where we had seats like 1, 2, and 3 in the aisle, and when I walked up, she's really small, so I was going to give her seat 1. So me or Jeff would not be in front of her. So I let Jeff go. I go, all right, Jeff was going to get seat 3. He walked in and I was going to take seat 2, and then she'd be in seat 1. He went in seat 3 and I went to walk and she goes, oh, I'm good in the middle. She actually walked past me to get between us so she would be like closer to Jeff so she could talk to him. And I was fucking miserable. I will say I was, I felt used and fucking betrayed. And, I will be honest, part of me was pissed at Jeff, but there was no reason to be mad at Jeff. I wasn't really mad at him. I was just mad at the situation. You know what? I was mad I wasn't Jeff. I'll be honest. I mean, I was like, because he was the guy, like she wanted to be. And then, I got to look at this realistically. This is a girl who, out of the blue, I asked to go to Prince. And then she got in the car, my mom's car, that I wasn't even driving because I couldn't drive it. I mean, how attracted to me could she be, possibly, at that point? I have no reason to be upset, but I was, man. I was fucking pissed. Like I said, I was pissed at her and pissed at Jeff and pissed at me because I fell for it. That was the thing. I was more mad at me because I thought I was actually... I knew she didn't... I don't know what I thought. And I was still dealing with Chris. You know what I mean? The whole fucking Chris thing that fell apart. So, you can imagine that maelstrom of emotions was working its way through my body when it came time for the encore and Purple Rain. And I'm mad at Jeff, but I still miss Jeff because he went away to school. And I mean, I'm mad at Laura, but I mean, I'm so bummed about Chris. And the night before, or 2 nights before, I had been there and held Chris's hand during Purple Rain, and there was confetti, and I got sad and cried. And now though I was crying, I won't admit, the fucking guitar started, and again I started to well up, and just fucking tears again. I lost it during Purple Rain, watching him perform it because it was so beautiful. He was fucking fantastic, and just to be there, and also now I was like, I'm here with my friend who it means so much to me, almost like I was on a date with him at this point because Laura fucking didn't matter. And I turn around and I see her, she's just hanging, like she wants to make out, like she's hanging on Jeff, and he won't even look at her, and he just looks at me like and makes a face like So I was pissed at her, but I recognized at least that he wasn't in on it. You know what I mean? Because he could have fucking, honestly, he could have probably banged her right there in the goddamn chair. But he looked at me like with this face, like, get her off me, dude. And I was like, thank God. And then I was able to cry in peace and just sob, knowing I was like, well, at least my friend is still with me. Sad. And show ends, confetti all over, tears. And, and then I'm thinking, now I can't even drive my own mom's car, and I'm crying in front of her. No wonder this chick didn't want to fucking bang me. So we make our way out to the car, and this time we get to the car, and I open the back door, and she goes to get in the front seat. I go, no, I got the door for you. I put her in the fucking back seat. Fuck you. Fuck you. You're lucky I don't make you fucking walk home. Seriously, I should buy you a purple shirt and put you in it, and people will think maybe you're Prince and chase you. You shrimpy little midget fuck. She tried to get me to buy her a shirt, too, on the way out. She was just like, oh, my God. She's like, started looking at merch, and she's just like, oh, my God, Mike, oh, I love that shirt. I really love that shirt. Like, all that, like, fucking spell is broken. Spell was broken by Jeff going, like, making a face. That was it. I knew that the key to all locks had been turned, and fuck you. You're lucky if you even get a ride home at this point in the beast. So we get in the car. I put her in the back seat. We're driving, and I'm just fuming. Now I'm in a black mood. I'm excited. I loved Prince, and I'm talking to Jeff, and we're having a good time. I'm ignoring her. She's trying to talk. She's leaning. Now she's trying to lean forward. Fuck, I could barely lean forward. She's lost in the beast. I mean, like, you can't even. I didn't even know she's back there. She had to like roll up a megaphone and yell and to finally. Oh, she's there. Okay, so she's leaning up and trying to talk. And where are we going now? What are we doing? And I'm just like, you're going home. We're done. We're going home. So. I took her home, and I should say Jeff took her home. I rode along, and we get to her house, and she's like, well, I had a really good time, Jeff. Yeah, I had a really good time, Jeff. And I just sat and I didn't even say a fucking word. And she goes to open the door, and she goes, are you going to walk me to the door? And I said, I'm not even getting out of the car. Because I had been opening doors and all that stuff for the whole night, and I'm not even getting out of the car. And she goes, I wasn't talking to you.
Oh!
Wow. And, at that point, and look, Jeff was nothing if not charming and chivalrous and a good guy. And at that point, a good guy, he walks, that's what you do. You walk a girl to her door. And he looks at her and he goes, get out of the car. Get out of the car. And she just makes a face like she thought her wily, womanly ways was going to break up two friends. That ain't fucking happening, goddammit. That very night in the Dodge 1972 Polara, Jeff and Mike invented bros before hoes. Right that second. No one had ever thought of the concept before then. Everybody else had always caved for pussy until then. But that night, with 5 words, get out of the car, the idea that it was okay to choose your friends over pussy was unleashed upon the populace for all eternity. The stone tablets were brought down, and Jeff was Moses in a fucking bow tie. And he told everybody, it's okay to side with your friends over strange pussy. It's okay. And I'll tell you what, you thought she was mooning over him all night? Imagine how I was mooning over him that second in that fucking car. When he said get out of the car, and she had to take her tiny wedding cake body and hop off of the Polara. Literally, she had to jump out of it because it was so fucking huge, the beast. She had to leap out of it like a child jumping off of a fucking garage roof into a snowdrift. She had to jump off of it and make that own walk of shame up to her own goddamn door under the light of her porch light. I just sat there in the passenger seat and smiled and just mooned. He chose me! He chose me! If I hadn't cried every tear in my head out during Purple Rain, I'd have sobbed right there in the fucking Polara. I was so happy. So happy, and yet also still so angry. Couldn't believe I'd been burned by it. She walked, she gets in the house. We did wait for her to get in the house. Look, we're not animals. So we waited for her we saw the door close. And Jeff looks at me and he goes, wow, that was fucking weird. And I'm like, yeah, that was weird. He's like, all right, you want to go home? You want to get something to eat? You want to go home? And I go, I don't want to go home. Just drive. So we took the beast and we start driving. And as 2 young men who are out and about in the prime of their lives will do, they decide upon mischief. And by they, I mean me, because Jeff doesn't fucking care. He's just driving and he doesn't care what happens. But I'm like, dude, we got to fuck something up because I have just pent up rage and emotion and I'm freaked out about Chris. And I fucking, I love Prince so much, I got to destroy something. So Chris and Laura and Jeff and the Polara, the Beast, and fucking, I got to work this off somehow. So we do the only thing you can do with a huge fucking tank. We start running over mailboxes. All right, we do it. So we start driving all over Bolingbrook, and we just start fucking, we start hitting. It's not even, like, I don't even have a baseball, because normally you'd have a baseball bat and you'd destroy the mailbox. Well, we're just smashing them with the Beast, because the Beast is unstoppable, folks. We are just fucking, we drive up, we do you go up on a couple of lawns and do a donut, you start rampaging through, and again, obviously you can't do it at more than one house in one block. You'll drive, and you're just driving, and you do that casual flick of your wrist to the right, and you just smash a mailbox and send it flying for distance. Fucking awesome. The Beast, it's like fucking driving Christine at this point. It's just got that low growl, and it's just, my mom's got the engine all souped up because my uncle fucking did it because he knew she had to cart 5 fat kids around, so the entire fucking thing is this monster vehicle. It's like driving a goddamn spaceship with just Dodge on the front. It's fucking evil and heavy. I will tell you that. You can feel the weight of it underneath it needs that engine to drag around the 11,000-pound carriage that it has. So, we do a few donuts, we smash some fucking mailboxes, and then we're just gunning for speed. We're driving as fast as we can down fucking side streets. And then, and look, I don't know who thought of this. I don't know if it was me. I'm going to assume it was Jeff, because Jeff could drive. So Jeff knew a little more about the physiology of cars and how they worked. I would have never even thought to do this, but Jeff, I think, looked at me, and he might argue with you, honestly, but he looked at me and he said, hey, let's do neutral drops. And I remember not knowing what it was. I remember after I found out what it was, I knew what it was. I just didn't know what it was called. A neutral drop is when you're in your car and you put it in neutral and you floor it. you fucking, I mean, to the floor, your engine is fucking, and you put your hand on the tree and you're holding it, and boom, you go from neutral into drive, and you just explode because the fucking engine is rolling. It's just not moving. The car is at top speed. It's just not moving. And then you put it from neutral into drive, and boom, you take off like a goddamn rocket ship. It's fucking awesome. So we got the lights out, okay? And we're on side roads, and we're, again, smashing mailboxes. We're driving around we're doing periodic neutral drops. And we wind up on a side street in some neighborhood. And again, we're terrorizing everybody. We've left this swath of destruction. And it's not enough for me. Because again, anything short of Prince himself showing up and telling me everything was okay, I'm never going to feel good about this night. I'm still pissed about Chris. I'm still pissed about Laura. But again, at least I have my Jeff. So we go to do a neutral drop. We do a bunch of them. We're fucking smashing mailboxes. And finally, we go on a side street. He turns the lights off. And I should tell you, the soundtrack for this evening is just laughing because the Polara has no cassette deck. The Polara has no, it's way too early for CD players. We actually probably could have hired a 6-piece band to sit in the back seat and play. There's that much fucking room back there. Literally, when Laura was back there, I should have had a swing. I mean, she looked like a parrot in one of those, in like a cage with so much room around it. I mean, there was nothing for her to do. So we could have hired a combo, but we didn't. Instead, we drove around and laughed until we were sick. I mean, we were just fucking, I'm crying and laughing and we're fucking howling. It's hysterical because you hit a mailbox and it goes flying. It's fucking hysterical. I'm not going to lie to you. I would still do it now, quite frankly. So if I knew where any places where there were mailboxes, and if I didn't think people had cement in them, because now I think of the consequences, folks. Back then, I didn't think of the consequences. I mean, that car was my dick, and I was just going to ram it into anything that I possibly could. Honestly, that's all that was happening. I was just happy, honestly, to be out with my buddy. My buddy's back from school. Jeff's back. It's exciting. We're having a good time. It's just like old times. We just saw fucking Prince. This is amazing. I've erased the fucking Laura blot from my fucking mind. I don't worry about Chris. All I know is we're out smashing shit, and it's fucking great. It's like it used to be. So now we're on some dark side street, we're laughing and fucking howling, and he turns the lights off, and he fucking hits the engine. He's got it in neutral, and we're fucking cracking up. And he's just revving the engine, and I'm sure people are fucking hearing it, and they wonder what the fuck's going to happen, because all it is doing is getting louder and louder. We're not moving anywhere. We're just sitting in one fucking spot. He grabs the fucking tree. He pulls it in a drive. And we roll into a street and hop the curb and hit a tree into somebody's yard. It was this huge raving noise, and then he pulls it into drive. Nothing. Just the loudest noise I've ever heard in my life. It was like we dropped an anchor. It was it's gone. And then just this clicking noise. And we roll up, hop a curb, and hit a tree. Now people are coming out. Because they heard that noise. And I look at Jeff, and he looks at me, and I'm like, what happened? He goes, I don't know. So the people come out, and they see if we're okay, which we are. And they want to know what was going on. They heard the engine and stuff. And we were like, oh, we were trying to drive, and for some reason the car wouldn't go. And we were flowing. We don't tell them we were neutral. We tried to make up a lie on the fly. All in is we're in a guy's yard. Thankfully, we're on a street where we haven't hit any mailboxes. We're far away from the scene of those crimes. Because we were very smart. I will tell you this. We didn't just fucking recklessly do donuts and smash mailboxes in one block. You can't take out one block. You got to spread your disaster throughout the fucking city. So then people, it's like crop circles. You don't want to have one crop circle in one spot and everybody goes, oh, aliens were here. You want to put them all over the goddamn countryside. Everybody's like, holy shit, there's aliens everywhere. So we wanted to think that there was a stealth team of ninjas out and a bunch of Dodge Polaris smashing mailboxes all over the fucking countryside. So we're sitting there in the car. It's not even going anywhere. And just this horrible, like, fucking smell, like this burning smell. I don't know if it's the tires or if it's just my scalp as I wonder what the fuck's going to happen to me. So, we call, that people call the police, because we hopped the thing and hit a tree. But there's no damage on the street. I'm sure the police are going to have some reports of damage at some point. And I know when they called the police, I was like, oh my God, that's not good, because they're going to hear about all the shit that we did. I mean, I'm paralyzed because, again, this is my mom's car. All right. Her only car. And as you know, by us driving a 72 Dodge Polara that was donated to us by my uncle, it's not like my mom could just go buy another car the next day. So these people call the cops, and the cops tell us to call our families. So we got to call my house. And I tell my mom, I go, Mom, something happened with the car. And she freaks out. She's like, what? What the fuck happened to the car? I said, Mom, I don't know. We were driving, and then there was this huge noise, and then the engine just didn't work, and we actually wound up hopping a curb and hitting a tree. And when Jeff had told his parents, he called them and told them what had happened. But the thing was, we had to go to my house because Jeff's car was at my house, and then he had to drive home from there. But when he called his parents and told them that, they're like, are you all right? And I told my mom, and she's like, what the fuck were you doing? I was like, nothing, and she's like, all right, well, Dan will come and pick you up. So Jeff and I are standing there, and we're like, we got to get our story straight, dude. And so we decide that we were driving, and for some reason the car was sticking, like it wasn't going, and so Jeff, he probably shouldn't have, but he started to rev it up, and he put his foot down, like, to the floor, and when he did that, there was this huge noise, and then we jumped the curb and hit the tree. So they actually have to tow the car. We have to wait for a tow truck, and then we have to wait for Dan to come over to tell them where we are. And Dan's not from Bolingbrook, so he has to fucking find out where he's going. And Dan comes and picks us up. And I would tell you about my stepdad. He's from Chicago, and he's a pretty tough guy. And he raised his own boys and a girl. His girl is like a black belt in martial arts. Like, that'll tell you, like, his kids are tough too. I mean, he's a guy from fucking Burbank, Chicago. He's a pipe fitter. So he pulls up in his car, and he looks at us. He gets out. He's like, what are you two doing? And we delve into a very carefully rehearsed story about how we were driving, and unfortunately the car wouldn't go, even though the engine was revving, and then all of a sudden there was a loud noise, and we don't know what happened, sir. And he's like, get in the car. Now, that's 4 words I didn't want to hear, quite frankly. Get out of the car, I was all on board for. Get in the car, a little ominous. So we get in the car, and we take a silent, nervous, nerve-wracking ride back to my house. And Jeff is like, thank you, sir, and he gets in his car, and he looks at me, and we're like, stick to the story. So they tow the car to a garage that obviously can't look at it until the next day. So next morning, Dan wakes me up. He's like, hey, we're going to see where the car is. Call your buddy. I said, what do you mean? He goes, I want him there. Call your buddy. He's got to meet us over there. And I'm like, well, I think, he's probably getting ready to go back to school. And he goes, do you want me to call your buddy? I said, no, I'll go ahead and give him a call. Now, you got to remember, I have no discipline at all from Dan. I still respect him because I will tell you, my mom has raised us to always just respect your elders. But he's in kind of a position of authority. My mom has sort of handed it off to him at this point. She's hands off. She's still trying to deal with getting a car. She's talking to my uncle, trying to figure all that out. So they're going to fix the car at the garage. So Dan and I take another quiet ride to the garage. And he says, you hungry? And I says, oh, yeah. So there's a Wendy's on the way. So we stop at Wendy's. We have a hamburger. He looks at me and he goes, I'm going to be around for a while. And I said, oh, okay. He goes, so it probably wouldn't be a good start for you to be lying to me right from the beginning. And I had never had this. I mean, my dad was a drunk and disappeared, and then my mom fucked a never-ending parade of faceless idiots who wanted nothing to do with her 5 kids. This was the first time I ever had a man disciplining me, or a man treating me like a son. And so I looked at him and I said, lying about what? Because, again, I don't know how to deal with a dad. I don't know that was his opening gambit to try to get me to be honest with him. And I knew that's what he meant, but I don't know what honest means. So I said, what do you mean? And he's just like, I just want you to know I'm not going anywhere. So if you start lying to me right from the beginning, we're going to have a problem. I said, no, okay. So we finish our lunch, and it's weird, but it's not super weird. We get to the garage, and the reason we stopped for lunch is because Jeff could not be there at a certain time, so he had to meet us a little later. So we get there, we all meet over there. I think it was 1 o'clock. And Jeff pulls up and he's like, "Hello, sir." You know, he's doing his thing. Dan sees right through it. Like, yeah. He walks in, and we go to the mechanic. And the mechanic, he says, "Well, what's the story?" He goes, "It's not worth fixing." And Dan is like, "Why?" And he goes, "Well, I mean, it's an old car. It's a '72. They broke the U-joint." And Dan says, "They broke the U-joint?" The guy goes, "Yeah." He goes, it's got a good engine if you want to strip it for parts. But he goes, "It's not worth fixing. It's going to cost more than the car's worth." And I don't know what to say at that point. I'm looking at Jeff like, we just fucking cashed my mom's car, dude. So I said, at this point, I'm going to step in because look, I know a lot about cars, folks. So I said to the mechanic, I'm like, "How much would it be? Like, and can you even fix that? What is it? What's it called?" And he's the U-joint. He goes, "Well," he goes, "let me ask you, when this happened," he goes, "was there like a violent shudder, and then a huge noise, and then you weren't moving?" And we're like, "Yeah." He goes, "Yeah, that's what happens when you break the U-joint." And I wanted to say to him, I go, "That violent shudder was not half as violent as the shudder I felt when you said it's not worth fixing." So he goes, "I don't know what you two were doing, but you broke the U-joint." And Dan looks at us and he goes, he looks at the mechanic. He's like, "All right, give us a second." He takes us aside. He goes, "All right, I'm going to ask you guys one last time. What happened?" And we were like, "Well, we were in the car and it was like," and I think I've seized on something. I go, "Well, there was a violent shudder. And all of a sudden there was like a huge noise and then we weren't moving anymore." And Dan goes, "I'm going to ask again. And this is your last chance. Were you two fucking around in the car before this happened?" And I'm dumb, but I'm not that dumb. I mean, I'm already staring in the face that the fucking car's wrecked. I mean, I can't, I'm not going to get out of it. I'm in trouble anyway because the car is wrecked. So, Jeff's not going to say a fucking word. Good for him. Again, it's not his situation. So, I have to make a decision at that point, and my decision is to err on the side of basically throwing myself on the mercy of the court. And I said, yeah, we were screwing around. He goes, "What are you doing?" And, I go, "Jeff?" And Jeff looks at me like, "What, dude?" I go, "What's it called?" And Jeff goes, "Neutral drops." And Dan goes, "So the car's in neutral and then you're shifting into drive after you're hitting the engine?" And he's like, "Yeah." And Dan goes, "Yeah, that'll do it." And he goes, "Your mom's not going to be too happy about this." And I go, "I know. I'm sorry. I know." And he looks at Jeff and he goes, "All right, well, you get the fuck out of here. You can go home." And Jeff's like, "All right." And he goes, "I'll call you." Because Jeff was going back to Southern, so he leaves. And then we walk into the mechanic. He tells the mechanic, he makes the arrangements with the mechanic to fucking tow it or whatever the hell they're going to do. I don't even remember what they were going to do with it because honestly, I was shocked. I mean, I had no idea what the next 3 miles were going to be like getting home and telling my mom that her car was fucking ruined. I mean, seriously. So we get in the car with Dan. I get in the car with Dan and we're driving and it's quiet. He just goes, "I wish you'd have told me you were fucking around right from the beginning." I said, "Well, I don't, I can't do that. I mean, I thought I could." And he goes, "You thought you could fucking get out of it?" I go, "Yeah, I thought I could get out of it." He goes, "You're always going to get found out in this life. You need to realize that. No matter what you do, it's always going to come back on you. So you might as well own up to it like a man right at the beginning." I said, "All right." So we drove, get to my house, we walk in, and my mom's going to murder me. Because the thing is, Dan he's doing all this running around because he has the car, but he has no say in the discipline at all in the house. But he's just going to be the messenger. We're going to walk in, he's going to tell my mom, and I'm going to get fucking killed. So we walk in, my mom's upstairs at the kitchen table. And I should say, Dan was very stern with me in the car. He wasn't mean, but he was, I was used to my mom. My mom was crazy, emotions and screaming and yelling, or nothing. My mom was all or nothing. My mom was basically me with tits. So, just either prone to fits of rage or to one-word answers. That's it. Well, Dan was being calm and being reasoned and being stern, but not yelling, but just making sure that I knew the gravity of the situation and basically what I was going to be walking into at the house. So he's being that way, and then we get in the house, and we start walking up the stairs, and he takes the stairs 2 at a time. I'm like slumped down. I'm walking like, like Michael Cera in Arrested Development, like with my head slumped. And he takes the stairs 2 at a time, and he walks up. My mom goes, "So what's going on?" And he goes, "Well, honey, we're going car shopping." And she says, "Why?" He says, he goes, "They said the car's not worth fixing." He goes, "They broke the U-joint on it, and there's nothing they can do about it." And by this time now I get up into the kitchen, and I'm standing there. My mom looks at me, and she goes, "What the fuck did you do?" And Dan goes, "Don't blame him. He didn't do anything." And my mom says, "What do you mean?" And he goes, "It's an old car. It's 1972, honey. You're driving a 72 car. Things happen." He goes, "If anything, you should be happy they weren't on the freeway. The mechanic said, or highway, we say highway in Chicago. He said, the mechanic said if they would have been on the highway and something like that happened, the car might have rolled. So you should be happy that they're fine. Everything's fine. Get you a new car. Don't have to worry about the old car. Let's go take a look at some cars." And I'm standing there. I can't fucking believe. I haven't even had to say a word yet. I haven't had to answer for anything. I'm just standing there, and I'm trying not to let my face betray the fact that that I'm getting away with this, or that he's lying, or that I fucked up and I neutral dropped and smashed mailboxes all over the goddamn town. I mean, I don't know what to say. I just shut the fuck up. For the first time and smartest time and only time in my life, I just shut the fuck up. I stand there and let him do all the talking. And because there was one thing I always knew about Dan. Dan had only been there a little while, but we all recognized that my mom was happier around Dan. And I think that's one of the reasons we didn't mind the fact that Dan lived in our house, because it took the heat off of us. Because my mom was always a little happier and a little more quick to smile and a little less on edge with Dan around. So that was one of the reasons why we accepted him living there. Because, I told you she had fucked this never-ending procession of idiots. And we didn't care for any of them, but we never interfered. It was like, whatever, because they didn't want anything to do with us, and she didn't want anything to do with us scaring them off, I guess. Single woman, 5 kids, it's got to be tough. But with Dan, he embraced it. Like, he was happy to be there. So he basically gets her to smile, and she's like, "Oh, all right." And he's like, "Well, why don't we go today?" And she's like, "Yeah, we can do that." So she gets up and she leaves the kitchen. And I'm astonished at my luck. And as she walks out, Dan smiles, and he looks at me, and his smile is gone. And he walks up to me, and he goes, and he said something that, he says to this day, he had never said it to me. He had never called me this in the entire time that he had lived there. He'd only been there a few months. But this is the first time he ever called me this, and he still calls me it to this day. And he leans up to me, and he walks, and he gets real close, so he's quiet because my mom's still there. And he goes, "That's one, buddy boy." And I looked at him, and he goes, "This stays between us. But I'm going to tell you, you're almost a man. You need to start acting like one." And I said, "Yes, sir." And he goes, "Get out of here." And I went into my bedroom and closed the door. I didn't know how to deal with it. It was crazy. I was feeling something, but I didn't know what it was. It was just, I was relieved, of course. But I put my headphones on, and of course, I had to play Purple Rain because that's all I'd been playing. And I hadn't had a chance to even think about the concert because the fucking shit happened with the car. I hadn't had a time to relive it. So I wanted to listen. So I put on the cassette tape, and I sat there and I thought, and I was like, why? What is this feeling? I don't even know what it is. And I thought about everything that had happened, and I thought about, how I'd blown it with Chris, and the fact that I had missed Jeff, but then he was back, and then I'm listening to the cassette, and it dawns on me. Purple Rain starts to play, and I start to well up again, and because I just can't help it at this point. But now, I'm not going to cry because I might have lost a girlfriend, and I'm not going to cry because I had been redeemed by my best friend. But at this time, I realized now that I felt like that maybe I had found a dad, and I cried for the 3rd time in 4 days. And I wasn't embarrassed about it at all. You guys can get me at Mike and MikeSchmidtComedy.com. You guys can find me at Facebook.com/the40yearoldboy. You can follow me on Twitter at Twitter.com/the40yearoldboy. You can follow our friend Lily Von Stupp on Twitter at Twitter.com/Lily Von Stupp. You can find her at twitter.com/MNTs. But if you want to write her a personal note and find out how many times we had to sit here and wait for me to get that right at the end, you will go ahead and write her at Lily at burlesque411.com. That's Lily, Lili, at burlesque411.com.
Zazzle.com/.
40-year-old boy.
Please buy all his stuff.
I'm changing the game, boss! I want to remind you folks about the Monday Night Teas. Every Monday night, we're having some problems, folks, with the recording and the such. Monday Night Teas every Monday night at 10 o'clock p.m. on Santa Monica and Vine at the 3 Clubs. It's a nondescript building, but a very descript show. So please come in and check it out every Monday night. I happen to have the producer of that show, which is very successful, very long-running, very beloved. Well, actually, she is all of those things, and the show is as well. Lily Von Schupp. Hi, Lily.
Hi, Michael.
How are you?
I'm good.
Fantastic. You've got a show coming up this Monday?
I do.
Who would be on that show? What is that show? Is it a theme show?
It is.
Uh-oh.
It's Valentine's Day.
Oh,
and
it is.
We're doing I Love Mel Brooks.
Yay! Why? What is the correlation between Mel Brooks and Valentine's Day?
Nothing. I just wanted to do a show, and I thought, why not do a Valentine's Day show about something I love? Fuck that whole nonsense, roses, candy, diamonds bullshit.
All right.
So, yeah, it's going to be great.
All right, a tribute to Mel Brooks. Are you dancing?
I am. I'm doing Blazing Saddles.
Of course you are.
I'm
And
trying.
let me guess who or what song. I'll leave you folks to figure it out. But if you can't figure it out, come on out to the Monday Night Teas and check out Lily dancing and flapping her 44 double Ds in your face. Although I don't know if she'll put a lot of effort into it because, let's face it, she's tired. And you've got a whole other bunch of people. Who's hosting?
Who is hosting? We have the producers hosting, and that will be.
Wait a minute,
played
hold on.
by-
Would this be 80s rock band, the producers?
No.
Those who sang the song, What's He Got That I Ain't Got? He's got you. That's what he's got. That's what he's got. Hey! Is that them?
No, it would be the producers from the Mel Brooks song.
Oh,
The
I
producers,
see. All right.
yes.
Bialystock will be there.
Yes, Stumpy Putz and Mr. Snapper are hosting. And then we've got Ula performing from the producers, the lovely Glama Sutra. We have Gigi and Pop doing a musical interlude from Spaceballs.
Okay.
We have several men in tights played by women.
Nice. Good. That's big.
And we're closing with the Inquisition from History of the World Part
What a show.
1. It is.
Look, I love History of the World Part 1, but Blazing Saddles is just, you sit there and you watch it. Dude, we raped the shit out of him at the number 6 dance. Oh, man.
Mongo is doing pickup for us.
There's Mongos in the house. Folks, how do you not go to this? Seriously, I might actually attend this extravaganza. That sounds like fun. But yeah, Blazing Saddles, the producers. God, the producers. How funny is the producers? Again, if you're going to show comedy to people, why don't I give you another treatise about what I think is funny? How fucking awful was that? Go erase that, folks. I don't know if you have the capabilities, but please, if I could, I'd take it right out of this goddamn show. This show got a lot longer than I thought it was going to be. But you know what never seems long, even as long as it is? The Monday Night Tea. So go check it out on Monday nights at the 3 Clubs on Santa Monica and Vine. Is it still recording or no?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Sorry, we're having some computer problems here, folks, with an Apple, which not the rainbow ball of death, but it's still there's some weirdness happening. You guys can go to my Facebook page, facebook.com/the40year-old-boy. And first of all, while you're there, look into my friends and look for a guy named David Hernandez and become his friend, please. Do what you can to be his friend. He's the silent partner, I guess. Well, not really silent. You hear him in the breaks and stuff, but he writes all the music, produces all the spots, mixes all the spots. He's the genius behind all this. Again, I show up, I just talk. Lily does the hard work, and then he does the stuff that makes the hard work look great. I just yap. So go ahead and be friends with our friend David Hernandez on Facebook. And while you're at facebook.com/the40year-old-boy, you can look for the Westside 86 Jokers, which is the Mike Schmidt fan club. You go ahead and join that, and I think there's a Dakota ring at some point. I'm not sure. I'm still waiting to find out myself. There is also a plethora. There are a plethora of pages. There is a plethora, or there are a bunch of pages, right? There are a bunch. There are pages. I don't know. Look, why am I giving folks English lessons? Seriously, that's not my job. There are plenty of pages of people who want to bring me to their towns. There's Bring Mike Schmidt to Portland, which we should have an announcement on soon, as I've been saying for weeks. But again, it's just a lot of back and forth. I'm not in Portland, folks. It's hard to do the hard work, the long work on a phone and a computer. Nobody takes me seriously. Hello, Austin. I can't get into that. But people want to bring me to Austin, Texas, which is nice, and people want to bring me to Portland, to a couple of places in Australia. They want to bring me to Ireland. They want to bring me to the Ozarks. They want to bring me to Minneapolis. I will say this. I mentioned the Kentucky guy, and I wrote him a long note explaining what was necessary about me coming to Kentucky. Have not heard back from Kentucky. Kentucky may be out of the mix, folks. I warn you that Louisville and Cincinnati and whoever else, if you were expecting me to come to Kentucky anytime soon, it's on a shelf. But again, there's Minneapolis and Portland, and as I've mentioned, I will be coming to Phoenix on February 25th. That's just a couple of weeks from now. This show is called, for the time being, Success is Not an Option. There are other names in play, and there might be some changes afoot. But right now, we're calling it Success is Not an Option. Well, because there's a reason, and I'll explain it another time. But right now, come and see Success is Not an Option, which is the show in Phoenix. It's at the Space 55 Theater. The tickets are available via Brown Paper Tickets. There's always a link on my Facebook page. I will also be Twittering the link. And I can tell you people that it would be really cool if you bought some tickets. Because, I got to come to town, and I'm excited. We've sold about half the joint, which happened pretty quick. And now I'm going piecemeal here and there a couple. But, folks, there's only 55 seats. Let's try to get as many people as we can in there and sit in those 55 seats. That doesn't seem right. That seems weird. Yeah, exactly. Find some hobos. Buy them a ticket. Do something. But I'll be coming to town for Phoenix. I'm there. I'm in and out. I'm there one day. It's a Friday, February 25th. Come out to Space 55. Tickets are $15, available on Brown Paper Tickets. There will be a link on my Facebook page, as always. So come on out and join us in Phoenix. That'll be fantastic. I'm excited to do it. Our friend Josh was the guy, the eyes and ears on the ground, as are my friends Todd and Chris in Portland, and my friend John in the Ozarks. I'm going to run down everybody. I'm not going to. But suffice it to say, there are towns that these people want me to go there, and that's great. Valentine's Day coming up, as I've mentioned. Folks, if you want to go to burlesquebears.com and get yourself a burlesque bear from our friend Lily Von Stupp, she will be happy to do it, and she will custom make it according to your specifications. She will even sew a tiny bear cock on there if that's what you want. Or she'll make a tiny training bear. She could do that. She'll give you boobs with pasties and then a tiny bear cock. So that's what she's going to do. Spends all the time. And let's put it this way. Even if you don't order it, she spends most of her week making tiny bear cocks anyway. I walk in here, and this house is it's cluttered with tiny bear cocks. It's hard to even get to my chair. I got to blow them off. And it's like being in a barbershop, and there's hair everywhere, hair gets and everything. I leave out of here, I'm still picking tiny bear cocks out of my pocket and my shirt. Right when I get home in the middle of the night. It's terrible. It's creepy. I won't lie to you. So go ahead and make a burlesque bear at burlesquebear.com and let me go ahead and take care of you there. I want to remind you to go to MikeSchmidtComedy.com and go to the Joe Business page, and you can pick up Year 1 and Year 2 download sets of this particular show. You can also click on through to the Zazzle store and look at all the stuff that we have there. There's all sorts of mugs and mouse pads and shirts that you can go ahead and pick up from the Zazzle store. And if you want to just donate to the show, on the MikeSchmidtComedy.com site, up in the upper left-hand corner of every page, there's a little Schmitty with his pocket out. You can click on him and send a donation to the show, and I can tell you that we appreciate it. You know who has done stuff like that, folks? Well, our friends James G. has gone ahead and done that. That's good to see. James G. and Jason T. gave us quite an amount. That was nice of Jason T. Michael V. Michael V. was involved. And our friend, get this, folks, brace yourselves, Ed Kupfer. Someone who wanted their last name used. I've put it out there. I said, look, if you folks want your last name, make sure you tell me. Ed was extremely adamant. Make sure you say my goddamn name. I want people to know that I am supporting the show. So Ed Kupfer, this was his second donation, by the way. The first time he did it, I said Ed K. And then when he donated the second time, he's like, none of this Ed K bullshit. Who am I? Sheila E. or Sade? No, say Ed Kupfer, damn it. So I said, done, Ed Kupfer. So James G., Jason T., Michael V., and Ed Kupfer. It's good to have them on board and supporting the show. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. And as always, folks, go to tweakedaudio.com/40 and pick up some earbuds. They have, again, many different colors. I think we are actually up to 645 different colors. And there's different styles. They're actually bringing back this style. It is they're gigantic cans. They're like huge earbuds, but then when you squish them, they're made of foam, and you can jam them in your ear like earplugs, like a clown's nose, and then they open up. Oh my God, folks, that's at tweakedaudio.com/40. That's where you want to go to get your earbuds taken care of, right? And I want to thank all you people who have done that, and also I want to thank people who go there and buy them and then write them and go, hey, by the way, I meant to credit that to Mike Schmidt, because a lot of people, because I don't say tweakedaudio.com/40 enough on this show. For it to be burned in your... I'm always worried that I'm saying it too much and I'm burning it in people's brains, and I'm being, kind of almost oppressive with it, hitting you over the head with a tweakedaudio.com/40 hammer. But no, because these people are forgetting, and then they'll buy it, and then after the fact they'll write Bruce, and they'll be like, "Oh, Bruce, I forgot to tell you, this is for Mike Schmidt." And then Bruce is always kind enough to credit me because if he might not, he didn't have to. He runs the big conglomerate of tweakedaudio.com/40. He sits there in his glass tower and stares down at people at his headquarters in the Middle East. Hey, that's right. These are made by Muslims, folks. Enjoy these earbuds. Tweakedaudio.com/40. And Muslims make the best earbuds because they have to find the comfort level to fit under their burqa heads or whatever those things are. They're crazy chic hats. What are they called? A veil? I don't know what it's called. But you never see a chic wearing earbuds and you're like, oh my God, they must hate them. No, they all buy the tweakedaudio.com/40 earbuds because they fit perfectly under their chic hat and they're comfortable. So there you go. I don't know what it's called. Chic hat. I'm not from there. I'm not from Riyadh. You're singing a song, a Chic Hat song? Good for you. Aw, Chic Hat. Put in your earbuds right now. How did that sound? Good? Because as I've told you, that tweakedaudio.com/40 does not only channel the music properly and make it sound good, it also fixes any flaws in the singer's voice. So as flat and tone deaf as I'm going to sound when I sing something, you listen to it in the tweakedaudio.com/40 earbuds, and believe me, it is going to sound amazing. As a matter of fact, I want another crack at Lou Bega. I want to hear Mambo No. 5 because it's going to sound fantastic. I'll be honest with you, fuck Lou Bega. Montel Williams himself could do the song. If Montel Williams sang Mambo No. 5, I could actually put in the earbuds from tweakedaudio.com/40 and it would sound fantastic. It would sound just like Lou Bega. I don't know if that's fantastic, but it wouldn't sound like Montel Williams, which is good for all of us, right? We don't like him. I'm not a fan of him and having cancer and making juice for everybody. Fuck that. Go host a talk show in your house and leave the rest of us alone. I'm not a fan. And now I got to go home and do my homework for Paul Goebel. God damn it. Unbelievable. Watch this show. I'm the guest. God damn it. Watch what I like. For 1 week, watch what I like, Paul. Oh, I'm glad he didn't tell me because I found that. Did you know this? All right, folks, far be it for me to disparage fellow comedians, particularly ones who make $800 million a year. But did you know that Larry the Cable Guy has a show on the History Channel? Yeah, that's right. Larry the Cable Guy has a show on the History Channel, and it's called Only in America. As in, only in America could a comedian acting like an ignoramus have a show on a channel dedicated to our nation's history. Seriously. Why did they get Larry the Cable Guy? It makes no sense. And although, I mean, let's be honest, he does have something. There is something historical about Larry the Cable Guy's show on the History Channel. It is actually the first time on the History Channel that Hitler is the second least likable person in the programming that they use. So that's certainly historical in its own way. Man, fucking Larry the Cable Guy, you gotta be shitting me. People who watch the History Channel have to be so pissed because I just picture them all at home with their pipes and their mustaches and just fucking their Einstein haircuts and just furious. They want to tune in and see the Battle of the Bulge, and there's fucking Larry the Cable Guy digging a ditch or whatever the fuck he is on there. God damn it. That has to be and again, they would put it in historical parlance. Anybody who watches the History Channel, they'd just be like, dude, this is a hillbilly cost. That's what it is. It's not a Holocaust. Holy shit, this is a hillbilly cost dropped right in our laps. And I seriously never forget, folks. We must always remember the hillbilly cost and the night of the long sleeves when the purge of the Cable Guy was made from the streets of fucking Berlin. These people have to be so fucking horrified to sit there and watch fucking Larry the Cable Guy ruin history. That's what he's doing. When you first saw him, you were like, this guy's terrible, but did you ever think he would ruin history? Nobody gave him that kind of weight. Nobody gave him that kind of gravitas. Everybody just thought, well, he's an innocuous comedian who I don't care for. But now he is trotting upon the very history of this great land of ours. How can you sit back and let it happen? God damn it. Put your pipe out, shave your mustache, and cut off your Einstein hair and fucking do something about it. Go ahead and fucking get nice. I don't even. Why do I spit out this random bullshit that nobody fucking cares about? I am peddling obscenity. I am going to get a whole fucking army of you people, and you know what we're going to do? We're going to listen to me and then do nothing for an entire fucking week. I can't be trusted. Don't you people know this? It was like the Back to the Future of suck. I don't want to have a boner in somebody else's pants. I need to shoot up heroin and jog. Hey, ass fuck, are you listening to anything that I'm saying to you? Fuck, somebody's got to shut that old guy up. And I'm like, fuck you! I'm not a potato! I'm a goddamn cantaloupe! Hi, Mike. 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 Hi, Mike.